الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: الإيمان يماني والحكمة يماني.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone to a stream that is unfortunate to be doing, warning against someone who is associated with da'wah, at least in the modern sense of the word, or the modern way of doing it, I reckon. However, after much consideration and consultation with brothers that I trust and who are knowledgeable, and as well after speaking with a few of the mashayikh that I hold dear, not just recently, but of things that have transpired over the last months and possibly a year. It felt prudent to do this live stream. And this is not a clickbait. This is a genuine warning against Libyano, okay? And not because of what people may assume or whatever. It's because, and what really pushed me to do this is because I've been made aware that, of course, of what the brothers did last night on Brother Abdurrahman's channel, Knowledge North. And I was watching the exchange. Now, firstly, let me say that I don't believe that the exchange was done in the best way. It could have been done better by the brothers. But at the same time, I'm not surprised that they couldn't hold themselves, right? Due to certain things. And like I said, I put reaction as a thing because if I wasn't, if I was available last night, I would have jumped on and taken part and tried to put my thoughts in, but alas, I wasn't able to do so. So I'm going to do that tonight. I'm not going to repeat everything that happened, but I want to display why I'm specifically warning against them. Now, again, I want to make it very clear to everyone, right, that first and foremost, this is not a personal attack on Libyano, right? The reason I'm warning against him is because this is to do with matters of deen, okay? Personal issues, if there are any, okay, that happens between everyone, right? Everyone's got some sort of issue with someone, right? Someone has done something wrong, said a bad word, or whatever, and we don't hear of that, okay? This is to do with Islam and to do with representing Islam, to do with establishing usul, establishing ilm, okay, and trying to, inshallah, bring the have this be a constructive criticism of the way that we are seeing da'wah being done, or how it's just the whole thing, right? Inshallah, I'll be more clear as this goes on. And I do want to say to the people, if you are here for the drama of it all, leave. I'm not here for the drama of it, okay? I'm here to do what I've been saying in a more general sense over the last months, with various streams which you are aware of, which you have seen. And now it has to be more specific. It has to be more specific. Okay. Now, I also want to mention that a lot of what has been happening, I still will not bring to light due to these things that have been discussed in private, and if I have brought them to light, it will completely ruin him, right? It will completely ruin him. So this is also, there is, as much as you've seen the du'at be harsh with Libyano, there is much that they are protecting him from, okay, and still do. And likewise, okay, because that's not what we seek. We do not seek the destruction of a particular person. We want to see their correction. And as Abdurrahman mentioned yesterday, is that the reason we do these criticisms is because we actually love the brother, right? Because we want him to go back from, and take back from what he's said, what he's done, to cease in his arrogance and his oath and his ego and everything, and focus on the deen, okay? Because there is, and I'm going to say it very clearly, there is a lot of promise in him, okay, if it is focused in the correct way, utilizing the correct methodology, okay. But at the moment, this is not the case, and unfortunately, again, one of the reasons why I'm doing this warning stream is because I don't believe that this will change in the near future, based on the reaction of his after what has happened last night. Okay. Now, I'm going to try my best not to make this a bashing session, right? But and it's going to be difficult to do that, because even as I'm doing this live, I'm trying to sort of in my mind put the words that keep it amicable, that focus on that which is important, and to leave out things which do not need to be mentioned, inshallah. Okay, this is going to be a very hard task, and again, I'm not happy doing this, okay. And like other brothers, I too have spoken to him, not one-on-one, right, because unfortunately he didn't respond to my message, from my initial message to him, or response to him rather, from a while back. But we have spoken in quote unquote private, and yeah, unfortunately nothing has transpired of that. Rather, many accusations were levied against myself, which I do not need to repeat. And so yeah, it was not fruitful. So what I want to do is essentially bring up the stream from last night, and inshallah he listens to this, right? And this is not going to be like yesterday. If he shows up today, I'm not going to bring him on, right, to defend himself. He had that chance yesterday, okay? So today I want to put my inputs, my thoughts into this, and inshallah use what has happened last night as a lesson to put in a like to have a lesson, inshallah, and in terms of what happens when you are in the public eye, when you are taken as someone who is a holder of the religion, or a representative of the religion, and so on and so forth. Okay, so without further ado, we've had like a 10-minute introduction. We'll go into that, and like I said, I'm not going to go through the whole stream. Okay, so right, okay. So this is the stream from last night, okay, and we're gonna go through some of this stuff, and inshallah, I'll make my.
I know there's people waiting in the wings. We've Muslim, Libyano, others. I'm gonna put the StreamYard link. I'll pin it. Audio pin it again. You have to go to YouTube. Don't you to pin it somehow? Yeah, I think so. That's one thing.
Yeah, already Scott is saying, "Let me up you, donkey." He previously said, I think he cursed Brother Abdurrahman, and as well,
Okay.
John, brother John. So yeah,
Okay, we let everyone up. No worries. Let's just get a handle of
and
things. I'm getting a lot
he's
of
saying,
I'm getting a lot of private messages as well. I don't know if I should listen to them. So maybe I don't know if I should go away and listen to these while you brothers are
Yeah.
and you get exposed for coming out of the closet. I
Yeah.
never know. What do you mean coming out of the closet? What the hell is that supposed to mean? So come on, brother. If you want, if the brothers want, I'm happy. I know what you're talking about. Don't
Yeah.
let me up. You look like BBC. I don't know what that means.
Now, straight away from this, alhamdulillah, the mods on that stream caught, immediately recognized that this is a fake account. Now, why did I highlight this? I highlighted this is because, this is before Libyano comes on to speak, right, and to defend himself. But the reason why I'm highlighting this is because despite it being from a fake account, the people believed that it was him, right? There were many that believed it was him that was saying this. Now, why? Why would someone believe that a brother could use such profanity? Because unfortunately, this has become well known about him, that he is someone who constantly uses profanity, right? Now, this in of itself should make any of us fear that if our reputation has gone to such a level that even when people imitate us and they imitate us in such a way that they put profanity on our tongues when we have not said such a things, and it's still believed by the masses, then there is something wrong. Because now the Muslims are finding it hard to give you the benefit of the doubt. They see something like that and they're like, what a filthy mouth, what a filthy mouth, right? And this is something that inshallah we want Libyano, not just Libyano, but everyone who uses such profanity, okay, to be aware of, have that in mind, that if someone is capable of faking your identity and utilizing this sort of language, knowing that they will be able to fool some people, because that's what people associate with you. They associate your tongue with filth, so they feel the ability to do that. And subhanallah, you see that this is not, they can't do this with other brothers, right? They cannot assume the identity of someone and put such false words onto their mouths, because because they will know that anyone that sees that, they will be like, wait, hold on a second. If this, I know this person, he doesn't use such language, so what's going on here? Okay. So and this is the unfortunate thing, that many people are very quick to believe that he is capable of doing that due to the reputation. Okay. And if people think, like for example, Kevin says, that's not true, brother Yemeni. No, unfortunately, this is true. Okay. This is very true, right? Because if you look through some of his streams, right, and like I said, I was someone when he first came onto the scene and I started to get recommended his videos, I enjoyed his conversations and everything. Unfortunately for me, I was and this is when it really clicked for me personally, right? I was watching one of his videos, more listening to his videos while I was driving. This is when I used to have to travel quite a bit for work and drive my car, so I would listen to him, and Allah Mubarak, he had a very good way of approaching things, mashallah, very good knowledge on the church fathers and the Bible, strong in debate rhetoric, and how like I mentioned, there is promise in him. But then then it switched over to another video where I started to think that there was a Christian speaking. Now, of course, let's make it very clear, I'm not making takfir of Libyano. The reason why I'm saying this is because I started to hear language that I would assume of a Christian polemicist. Now, when I turned to the video, now I'm speaking, this is probably a year ago, right? So I can't remember the exact video, I won't be able to reference it, okay? But when I turned to the video, I realized it was brother Libyano speaking and using very derogatory language to a guest. And I was very disappointed, But then after that, I started to see it more often, right? And other people saw it. And there are famous phrases of his, like, for example, cross liquor. This is something that he would utilize often, right? And the ease in which some of the words fall out of his mouth is concerning, because for us as Muslims, even though there are things that are halal to say, it is out of the modesty and the shyness of the Muslim that you still do not say it, even if it is not profane as sort, even if it's not something that is profane, and something that is, as he would put it later in that stream, a scientific what do you call it, term. We still would be shy to say it in a normal context. Okay. So this is the first point I wanted to make, and this is why we have to warn against some things like this, okay? And unfortunately, in this case specifically, Libyano. If you've put yourself in a position where people are quick to believe what others say about you, then that is a reflection of the reputation that you have gained. Again, we're establishing principles here, okay? Now, if you haven't seen, look, again, we'll get to the we'll get to the what do you call it? This idea of I don't hear him say that before they insult. First and foremost, that is not true, right? Secondly, even if that was the case, Muslims should have a better standard. Okay, and this is something covered by the brothers also in last night's stream. So we'll continue, inshallah.
Yeah, I think we
Don't let me think of being a homo.
Alright, so
what do you mean?
Okay, so this is I'm just skipping past, because like I said, I don't want to waste time with going through everything. A lot of the brothers, I mean, this stream, 4,000 people watched it last night, so I'm not going to go through everything. On a lighter note, Libyano does keep his ears clean, mashallah, so very clean brother, as we can see here. But again, look, just quickly,
Brother, what do you mean BBC?
Sorry, I don't know what you're referring to. Closet? What?
Yeah, didn't you say you come out? Didn't you come out the closet?
No, you're reading something wrong, brother. That wasn't me.
Oh,
so as we've seen, Brother Abdurrahman thought it was him. Oh, subhanAllah, what is going on? And of course, it wasn't Libyano, right? And haq is haq. He didn't use profanity towards the brothers, okay? But just to drive that point home.
sorry, saying some nasty. Just as we want to defend ourselves and our religion, but no need to smear, no need to lie. There's enough calamities that a person has to defend without us having.
Yeah, yeah, I believe so.
Okay,
So
educate
that's
us.
why I'm here to talk about it.
Educate us, brother.
Okay, so the first thing that personally, to be honest, it got me, I really started feeling something inside, was when Fontaine said that I said, don't post it, it's haram, because some people had gotten access to the photos of Avery's wife.
Right.
And I have been made informed that they started posting it around. I said, don't do that. You'd be stupid to do that. It's corn. It's completely forbidden.
Yes.
Then you played a clip of my interview with Rami.
Yes.
Where I'm talking about what I said about her in the video, not about any corn. The context of my conversation with Rami is the video I played and blurred everything, right? And I played the video, but everything was blurred. And I said that was journalism.
Now, unfortunately, there is an issue here when Libyano is trying to defend himself, okay? Because first and foremost, even if you blur something out, you're still making that something available to the people, right? And at the end of the day, you can't guarantee that the Muslims may not be tempted to search for the original video, Okay, that's not journalism, right? And just a little bit of background. Avery's wife, she insulted Allah and His Messenger, alayhi salam. And of course, Libyano said to her, that, if you don't apologize for this, then we will release, quote unquote, the files. Essentially, the profanity that she was involved in past years. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, according to what I've heard or what has reached me, is that this particular video was something that she was doing around a decade ago. So it's not something recent. It is something in her past, in the same way that what the brothers were criticizing Libyano is one of the clips of his happened about 4 years ago, right? So something not current. Now, when you expose, first and foremost, when someone is reviling Allah and His Messenger, you don't put a condition. You don't say, oh, unless you do this, you're going to do that. No, you stay away from them. You don't engage with them whatsoever. Okay, and you have to ensure that you do not incite any of this happening. Right now, obviously, when you are already talking to or already familiar with someone like Avery, who insults Allah and His Messenger, and interestingly, Avery uses the same logic as Libyano. Avery says, "Oh no, I don't do this unless a Muslim insults Jesus or insults Christianity or insults the Bible." He uses the same logic, right? Or reasoning, right? Because there's no logic in that individual, right? But the same sort of quote unquote reasoning, right? And this is a flawed reasoning, okay? And again, this is something touched upon by the brothers last night, okay? If you believe, and you know this about a particular individual, going after his wife, right, for whatever misdeeds that she has done, is not going to help. Because now you're going after someone that he holds dear. So what do you expect to happen? The blasphemy will increase. And indeed it did increase. Okay. Rather, there is a way for the Muslims to degrade such individuals, right? And to put them in their place. Okay. Now, none of us are perfect in this. We have all made mistakes. And alhamdulillah, Allah has covered much of them. Some of them have been exposed, and alhamdulillah, we have brothers and sisters like yourselves in the chat, and in which you correct us publicly and immediately when we err. Okay, so barakallah fikum. Okay, so we see this happening. Okay, now this defense that this is quote unquote journalism, no, it's not journalism. How can you call it journalism? Right, you are digging up the past. Okay, and not necessarily digging up. I don't believe that Libyano went looking for this, right? This is in the same way that many of his clips find their way to me. I'm pretty sure that this found its way to him, okay, by whatever means. Okay. Now, let me just address something quickly here. Why didn't knowledge call out introspective? I can't speak on his behalf. What I have done at the beginning of this stream, I have mentioned that I don't believe that the brothers have handled it in the best way. I don't believe that. I don't believe so. And I also saw some of the brothers and sisters criticize as such in last night's live chat, okay, as I was going through it. I'm not here to defend or criticize, or particularly the brothers in why they've done such and such or why they haven't done such and such. What is apparent, I will comment on. Okay, I'm not going to seek to know why they did such and such. Okay, so this is a poor defense. Okay, for this idea that, oh yeah, no, I'm not posting corn or whatever. At the end of the day, even if you blur something like that, you are still posting that thing, okay, even if it is blurred. This is like saying that if I pulled up a video from from one of those illicit sites, but I just blurred it out, I'm not posting or uploading that video. No, I have, right? It's just blurred out, right? So it's not a healthy thing, and unfortunately, this is going to be a trend that happens throughout this stream, inshallah. And this is why, you know, I'm actually issuing a warning. Now, there is a brother here who mentioned. Let me see if I can find the comment here. So the brother gave me a bit of advice, and he said, Yemeni, change the title of the video to advice, you know, for Libyano. Okay. And while I appreciate the advice of yours, Akhi, I will not do so, right? Due to what I've said in the introduction, that not just myself, but many have approached him privately who have tried to advise him and admonish him, right? And myself, I've admonished him very harshly, right, in private, after the advice has not worked, okay? And I have issued very, very strong words to him, okay, which I will not repeat, because again, I want to preserve some of his dignity, okay? Now, so no, this is what, and as this goes by, I want the people to realize why this warning is being issued, right? And this is just the beginning of it, right? So we'll carry on, inshallah.
Me calling her a whore was journalism.
Again, just to reiterate the point, do you see how easily that word comes out of his mouth? This is not a word that should be slipping out of the mouth of a Muslim with such ease, okay? Now, you could try to say, oh, this is based on because he grew up in Canada. I don't know if he has, I'm not sure, right? Or because of, you know, the colloquial language that people use and everything. But he's not the only da'i in the West. In fact, most of us are here in the West. But how many of us would actually use this? How many of us have you heard this word being used? Okay. Now, to further provide the example as to why this warning is being issued, is because of this. This brother is taking it lightly. Oh, he might be right though. Ha ha ha. To accuse the chastity of a woman, okay, is something major in Islam. Okay. Now, this is not me defending Avery's wife, okay, in terms of what she has done in the past, because as of now, right, and considering that she has gone to apologetics and whatnot, and you know, it's, you know, I do not know her situation. She may have left that behind, okay. If she does so in secret, this is between her and Allah. But in terms of what is publicly known, this is not something that is known about her, at least in recent you know, recent months, years, and whatnot. Okay, I do not know much about her, right? And I don't think anyone has really paid too much attention. Okay, but like I mentioned, the clip that is in question about her, this is from years past. Now, if a woman has repented from such a thing, even if she is even if she is still a disbeliever, you still do not accuse, you know, slander her chastity, right? If she has turned away from that. If she is loyal to Avery and isn't cheating or being profane or you know, showing herself and everything, then you don't do this, right? You don't bring this up. Okay. Now, for the people that are saying things like this, she's slandering the Prophet ﷺ, no one's disputing that. You know, I am not defending her because I'm thinking that, oh, you know, she's such a good girl, she's, you know, she's quiet and everything, she just happens to be married to. No, I know she's a blasphemer, right? And there I have no respect towards her whatsoever. But justice in Islam is void of what your personal, what these things are. These are two different things. She slanders the Prophet ﷺ, so we deal with that, okay? But we do not deal with that by slandering her chastity, especially if she has turned away from such things, okay? That is not the correct way to do it, okay? So this is a what do you call it? This is a principle, okay? That we deal with the things based on what they are, right? Now, for example, you have this. I like brother Libyano. Let him do his thing. No, akhi, this is incorrect. Okay, this is incorrect. That's not how it should be. Okay. You are defending her and slandering a Muslim brother. No, I'm not. First and foremost, I'm not defending her for what she has said against Rasulullah. In fact, I myself, if you go on my channel, I have issued death threats against those who insult Allah and His Messenger. I go way above and beyond any da'i that ever has, right? And something which I have not retracted. Okay. And of course, with the caveat of, which I did a specific stream to establish the caveats that this is within a particular context. Okay. So I don't tolerate blasphemy, right? But at the same time, I don't defend Allah and His Messenger by attacking the chastity of a woman, right? Especially if she has repented from such, right? I haven't even attacked the chastity of a woman if she was involved in that thing, right? Because that's not correct. That's not, we are better than that. Okay. An example is when the Quraysh were insulting, praising their own gods, right? They were praising their own gods. And Rasulullah advised the companions to mention that Allah is greater. Okay. In Allah a'la wa ajal. Okay. So that was the response to those who were praising their own gods. Okay. Trying to make their gods above Allah. So Rasulullah said, no, Allah is above, right? Simple, right? Rasulullah didn't go start going after the reputation of these men, or to try to degrade the reputation of these men or the reputation of their wives. This is not the way. Okay. So inshallah, and unfortunately, the brothers who are defending Libyano in the chat, okay, you are displaying that you have become part of the problem, okay? Because unfortunately, you are not learning the usul by following him. You are not learning Islamic character. You are not learning Islamic principles, okay? So because you are not learning this from him, which is the core aspect of da'wah, right? The very core of da'wah is good character, okay? And this is something that is emphasized in the Quran of all of the Anbiya in terms of their character. Okay. So you are clearly, when you are saying things like, when you had that brother who was like, oh yeah, but maybe he's right, ha ha ha, you are not establishing Islamic character. And you guys are not learning Islamic character or Islamic principles from Libyano. And this is a shame. Because unfortunately today, this is the reality. You guys tend to look to us to learn your deen, which is the most pathetic thing I've ever heard, right? And the most pathetic thing I've ever seen. We are not here to teach you your religion. We are here to invite people to Islam. But, inadvertently, we end up teaching, right? Quote unquote teaching. Now, so this is a major, major issue, right? And unfortunately, you guys are actually proving the point that I'm bringing across. Okay. And may Allah guide you and guide us to that which is better. Okay. But we'll continue, inshallah.
Not corn. I never posted any photos of her. I made it very clear that anybody who does that is transgressing. So are you guys going to take that back?
Didn't you say, because we have a clip, didn't you say, brother, and of course, if we're wrong, we'll take it back. Didn't you say, brother, go ahead, you give Henny permission, whoever this guy is, I don't know, go ahead, spread it.
No. Yeah. I never gave any, first of all, I'm not anybody to give permission, okay? Second of all, I never.
Okay, this I have to stop there. Now, first and foremost, I am not aware of Libyano telling anyone to spread anything. However, not in that specific way, right? There is a but here, okay? And again, this is not for me to try and find something even when he has successfully defended himself. This is, again, establishing the usul. When you have a platform, whether it's a platform as small as mine or a platform as large as his, okay, you have a responsibility that is usually out of your hands, okay? Now, when you post something, right, or mention something, and you know your followers are going to see it, the whole thing of social media is that it spreads like wildfire, okay? It spreads like wildfire, okay? So if you are familiar of something and you post it, blurred, not blurred, in writing, with an image, with a crop, with a video, whatever it is, you know it's going to be liked, you know it's going to be retweeted, you know people are going to take that and do with it whatever they please. This is the reality, right? And especially for the Gen Z type, this is something well known to them, right? They live on this, right? This is the age of social media. Everything that you do is public. It remains online. It is liked. It is retweeted and whatever, right? Retweeted, shared, you know. So when you know that this is something that's going to happen, yes, you may not have told people to, you know, in those words to spread it, but once you post it, you've given that license. You've given that license. And when you word things in such a way that makes people, you know, sort of gives have people pay attention to it, then that is more likely going to happen. Okay. So yes, you may not have, you know, as far as I know, he hasn't explicitly told anyone to share it, but when you put it on your social media, then you're gonna, you know, that in of itself is you're essentially giving license for people to do that, right? And this is why we shouldn't involve ourselves with such things, right? At the end of the day, our Rasul made it very clear that we do not get involved with things that do not concern us. We don't get involved with things that do not concern us. And today, in the age of social media, and especially when you're a da'i, you this is something that is that we have to, you know, what's the word? Keep in mind, okay? More than anything we put on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, whatever platform, right? And for the oldies, Facebook, right? You got to know that this is going to reach people. So be very careful in what you put out. And yes, we make mistakes. We all have. But unfortunately, and what we will see is that while he may admit to the mistakes, you will find that he is not willing to retract on those mistakes. Okay. And unfortunately, this goes into the sophistry that we will be pointing out later on as well, which is an utter disrespect of his elders. But we'll get to that, inshallah.
Never said it's okay to post her stuff. The video played is me saying the opposite. Don't do it. It's haram. Don't post it. Now, where's my car?
You can't say don't post it, it's haram, but then you post it, right? Even if it's blurred. And this is a problem that I have seen, okay, with him specifically, okay, that he thinks by claiming something, that's it, right? The job is done. No, if you say something and do the opposite, that's even worse, right? You can't be saying, oh no, but I specifically said not to do such a thing, right? Yeah, I need, come on, right?
I was thinking of getting somebody to make a quote unquote documentary on her, but I wasn't gonna post any corn. If he had anything in it, it would have been blurred.
So this is the same point just being regurgitated. So we'll move on to the next part here. Now,
I'll reach out to him to apologize publicly for the things he and his wife say about the Prophet, and say that he won't blaspheme anymore.
Okay, so this is the background context which I've already mentioned, so I'm not going to go through that again. So this is, I think, the next clip.
Oh, not the pussy one you follow. We don't have
procedures, but okay. That you're saying that you've told him to release the files. If she doesn't,
Penny, if he was
okay. So yeah, this is still about the same thing. Still about the blurring and the corn, which we've already touched upon. I think we got.
I know you don't think that.
That was,
When
Bro,
was
what,
that?
what the heck is that?
I have no idea.
He's been cloned.
All right, so this is obviously this has been cut due to what the there was someone who cloned another brother's profile and put some terrible things on, so that's just been clipped now and it's been uploaded. So
They've cloned his
Someone's trying to take the
Yeah.
stream down.
They're cloning.
Okay, that little video quickly when you. The point is, you start with hijab, brother, who is far from. Yani, okay, we'll deal with him in a separate issue.
No, well,
okay, so just quickly, I know that Abdul Rahman didn't deal with hijab. Now, hijab, unfortunately, you know, he's someone that I have warned against in the past. But I haven't done a specific stream on him, right? But everyone knows my views on hijab and, you know, how the things that he has done over the last 6 years have severely undermined and, you know, made things difficult for other du'at, starting off with what he has done in during COVID with his interview with Yasser Qadi and not pushing back at all, leading to the whole holes in the narrative rubbish, okay, and the things that he has done afterwards, okay, and you know, and if for those of you who have watched hijab sit down with Libyano speaking about this matter of Avery's wife and the way they went about it, you wouldn't think these people were du'at in any sense, okay, in any sense of the word, okay. And the profanity was flowing from their tongues like you know, with complete ease, okay. So that's again the issue of profanity being thingy.
we'll talk about hijab in a second.
Brother, Orthodox Muslim, please, yeah?
Go
Well,
ahead.
before you talk to me introspective, I want to clear up what they said first. Then
Go
you
ahead,
can
bro.
talk
All right, go
about
ahead.
whatever
Go
you
ahead.
want.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, we could leave hijab for later.
No, you believe next
another
week,
thing-
next week.
Well, you know, he calls himself Rabbi Rabbi Libyano. So this Rabbi Libyano thing is a joke, is a meme. It's
Yeah, we
an
got
account that I had.
We got that, brother. But the
Basically,
point,
just wait,
okay,
let me just explain, right?
okay,
Yeah,
quickly, brother.
it's me mocking their religion, right?
Yeah, we got
Or
that.
their authority, or I wouldn't really say it's mocking, but me saying that.
Now here is I mean, subhanallah, and this is what happens. Like the truth came out. The truth is it came out that he was mocking, and this is something that is common with Libyano. And unfortunately, we will see that he attempts to mock the brothers with his underhanded comments. Okay, because at the end of the day, he's on this stream to defend himself. Now, if you realize how he is at the moment, very cordial and everything, but as the conversation goes on, you will find that the mask slips, okay, and that his real character starts to come out. Right, he's unable to keep the facade up of someone who is respectful, who wants to listen. Okay. Now, look at this. What is wrong with mocking kuffar? Understand the word da'iyah. Okay, someone who calls to Islam. Okay. If you are using this in a general sense, right, and especially as like a second account, okay, you don't do this. Okay, and even if, right, because his defense is that, oh, I'm mocking it, I'm mocking them, I'm mocking their religion. You think people will want to become Muslim when they hear you do it like that, right? And even if you, and with his defense that he brings up later, that, oh, I know their Bible better than them. Yeah, so do we. So, you know, so did some of the, you know, students of knowledge of the past and the ulama of the past. They knew more about the scriptures. They were, because Muslims are more critical. They question things. They look into things. They investigate, examine, dissect. Okay. You don't hear this, right? Calling yourself a rabbi comes with a certain connotation. You can't simply say that, oh, rabbi means teacher, so therefore I'm teaching them their religion. You can simply say, listen, I know your religion better than you, and I'm teaching you your religion. Which, again, as a da'i, you're not supposed to teach them their religion. There is something, we to put a general note here, right? That if you are calling someone to Islam, okay? If you are calling someone to Islam, you shouldn't be teaching them their religion, right? You shouldn't stop them and say like, oh no, hold on a second. No, but that's not what your authorities say. You're speaking to the individual based on their understanding. Because if they have their own understanding, they're not going to care about you teaching them their religion because it's their religion. They'll be like, who the hell are you? And for all of you who know, you know, who I am and what I do, right? Because I'm pretty sure there are some new brothers and sisters in the chat, okay, considering who I'm referring to. You know that I say, you're not going to teach me my religion. So when a Christian speaks to me and thinks that he's going to give me tafsir of the Quran or a tafsir of a hadith or break down a particular asl, okay, or mas'ala, I stop them. I'm like, no. In what world do you think that you know my religion better than me? Okay. In what world do you think that? So their approach will be the same. They will not hear it from a Muslim. Okay. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, there was a recent video on, from Speaker's Corner, from brother Hashim. May Allah bless him and reward him and prolong his life and increase his deeds. Amin ya Rabbil Alameen. He was having a conversation with a Christian, and the Christian was making severe blunders. Okay, and Hashim was like, "Well, hold on a second. I mean, he didn't try to teach him his religion, okay, but he was saying to him, no, but hold on a second. That's not what your church believes about the Trinity." And the guy was just not open to it whatsoever. And then when another Christian corrected him, then he was open to it. Okay. So this is the natural thing from both Muslims and Christians. Okay, a Muslim will not want a Christian to would not want to what do you call it? A Muslim wouldn't want a Christian to teach him his religion. A Christian wouldn't want a Muslim to teach him his religion. Okay, so you know, this is not something that we should do, right? And this is why we're saying it as a general note. Okay, and may Allah rectify that issue, because it does happen. It does happen where, and I understand why it does happen, but this is not what we should do. Okay, so even if you are someone who's claiming to be a teacher, you don't use their terms, right? You don't use their terms, right? At all. You wouldn't find me saying to a Qadiani, I'm your Murabbi, right? Because this Murabbi is associated with them. It's not associated with Islam, okay? In terms of the way that they use it, right? Likewise, a rabbi is not associated with Islam. You're not going to go to someone and say, I'm your priest, right? Or I'm your bishop because I know the Bible better than you, right? A rabbi is a Jewish authority on the religion. So it is incorrect to use such a thing. And unfortunately, again, the defense is poor, right? And it just goes to show that there is a lack of usul, right? There is a lack of understanding, okay? And this is very problematic, okay? Now, people can say, oh, yes, but Libyano is young. You know, he's 23, 24, okay? But the brother is, mashallah, he's mashallah, he has a family, he has a job. If I'm not mistaken, he sells thobes. And if you haven't come across his thobes, go and buy his thobes, okay? Help the man, okay, with his business, inshallah. So purchase thobes from Libyano, okay? By all means, 100%, okay? But this is someone who is well accomplished, alhamdulillah, okay, and at a very young age. Unfortunately, so it's not about his youth. His youth is not the issue. Yes, we say, oh, these young du'at and everything, but we are not using this idea of young du'at to admonish them for their youth. It's for the childish approach. Okay. And I say this very clearly. It is a very childish approach in terms of how he defends himself, and as we see, how he goes into all of this stuff. And at the end of the day, we all know that as soon as you pass puberty, you are held accountable by Allah, right? So this is not a question of his youth. He is, probably, near on a decade past him being held accountable by Allah. Okay, so this has got nothing to do with that. Okay, so this is not about him being young or anything like this. It's about not owning to the mistakes in a real way. You can give it lip service and say, yes, brother, I've made a mistake on something, but what is the outcome of that? What is the outcome of that? And especially if you represent Islam, do you stop doing what you're doing, or do you continue? Now, many people, when they saw the video of Libyano when he was in hospital in Marrakesh, she was pondering about how we are insignificant and everything, and it was a very sincere, reminder at the time. And unfortunately, after that, when Allah has cured him and he returned to health, the return to profanity, the return to disrespect came, right? So what happened to this reflection? What happened to this sincere reflection? Because I know it was sincere. Because every single one of us, when calamity strikes and we feel that we are, that this may be the calamity that brings us to our end, we do become sincere. Okay. But what happens after Allah brings your health back? What happens then? Have you changed your ways? Okay. And again, I'm not talking about minor private sins and everything. All of us have our private sins. All of us make mistakes. This is about the deen, and this is about what happens in public, which is why I also mentioned that I'm not going to mention about certain things that have occurred in private, because certain things that have occurred in private will do far more damage than anything I will mention. Okay. Because at the end of the day, while this may be a warning against him, and actually I will mention something in private that happened in private. When it came to this subject of ayah, right, and the whole issue of takfir and everything, I mentioned to the brothers that I trusted Libyano, okay? And I said this, that Libyano should take down the video about the mass takfir of her, okay? And replace that video with something that is general about the Quranists, right? About the kufr of Quranists. So I trust Libyano to do something like that, okay? And I lended that thingy, but I was very critical of the way he approached it. Now, unfortunately, as you guys probably know by now, that advice wasn't heeded, okay? And it got messy afterwards, right? It did get messy afterwards, but I'm not going to mention exactly the details of that, okay? Because I do want to highlight the ability of Libyano, the promise of Libyano. I also want to know that right now, I also want the people to know that right now he's not someone to be listened to, not someone to have to take knowledge from, to establish your soul from. None of that. Rather, Libyano needs to take a step back, correct himself, and then come back, by all means. Okay. Now, let's continue.
That look, I know your book better than you. I'm
Yeah.
a teacher. I'm a rabbi. How did you interpret it as me like mocking the deen or
No, you didn't. You obviously
went.
went. This is why we asked you, brother, to listen before you comment. We were making the point that if you take something at face value and you encourage your adolescent fan base that you can make the fear of superficialities, then someone saying they're rabbi, khalas, you call yourself a rabbi, he's mocking the deen, he's a kafir. That's why takfir, brother, that's why takfir should not be encouraged to the youth, because they will take statements at face value without the foundations. And we played the clips from the ulama saying this is an advanced topic. It's not for you or me to tell people, spam this person, kafira, 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 whoever does not make takfir of him, he's a kafir.
And this is a very important issue. Now, I did see a comment mentioning that we should be warning against other people, right? Now look at this. You can't dictate what people do. Actually, when it comes to the deen and there is something wrong, yes, we can. Okay, we can tell people you gotta take a step back. Okay, now of course we can't control that, whether they take a step back or not. We cannot control that, but we can make that determination, because at the end of the day we judge by what is apparent. Okay, so this again is just a demonstration of a lack of knowledge on the principles in Islam. Okay, so again, we need to learn what the brothers should do. Okay, the brothers and sisters, what you should do is refrain from speaking about anything without knowledge. Nothing. Islam is not a religion of opinions. So your opinions do not matter here. Okay. So here, look, what are your qualifications? Correct. We're not. I'm not a qualified person. This is why I'm a da'i. Okay. I'm not a student of knowledge. I'm not an imam or anything. However, though I have made the mistakes, okay, in the past of trying to give da'wah using the Bible, right? Memorizing Bible verses more than Quranic verses and stuff, which I've done, right? I've made the same mistakes as Libyano. Don't get me wrong, okay? I've made the same mistakes as Libyano, okay? And I understand why he's made those mistakes, especially when, like him, I was watching these Speakers Corner videos. I became a fan of the brothers at Speakers Corner, okay? And I did things in the wrong way, but Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, if it wasn't for asking a particular da'i, and I'm not going to mention who it is, some of you already know, but you know, he's so modest, and you know, I don't want to you know, as you know, subhanallah, his modesty he makes me shy of mentioning him due to his modesty. Okay. He pointed me on the correct path on how to do it, to establish my aqidah, okay, to learn the usul ad-din. Okay. Now, this is alhamdulillah, that helped me on my trajectory, right, into focusing more on calling to Islam, utilizing the Quran and Sunnah, right? And alhamdulillah, you know, I'm someone that can take advice. I'm not patting myself on the back, right? There are many things that I've done mistakes with, which has been rectified. Okay, and I think this is apparent because even from the brothers and sisters in the chat, okay, they correct me on the spot when I make mistakes. Okay, and this is why I love my community. I love the brothers and sisters that with me on these streams on a regular basis, because I can rely upon them to correct me when I make a mistake. Okay. Now, ya akhwa, don't try and guess who it is. You know, alhamdulillah, all of the brothers mentioned are very honorable brothers. You know, who are, you know, mashallah, very good at giving da'wah. But none of those are the ones that have given me that advice. Okay. Now, the subhanallah, you know, the way I see people defend Libyano, I've never seen that happen, right? And unfortunately, this highlights the point that we have been raising, that unfortunately Muslims today attach themselves to personalities as opposed to Islam. Okay, and this is a massive problem. Stop attaching yourselves to personalities, me included. Okay, me included. Okay, now I think we've mentioned the point, right? But we'll continue, right? Oh yes, the issue of takfir, right? The issue of takfir. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you know, why are you not making takfir of ayah? Why are you doing a stream dedicated to warning against Libyano, but you are refusing to talk about ayah, okay, and her kufr and everything? Now, that's a good question, right? And we'll answer this now, right? When it comes to the issue of ayah, first and foremost, there is no doubt whatsoever, okay, in the mind of any Muslim, that those who are hadith rejectors, right, when we talk about takfir and no, okay, takfir and no is established, okay, that those who follow the Quran alone are kafir, okay, in terms of the Quranist movement, the hadith rejection movement, and so on and so forth. And for those of you who watched my debate against the hadith rejector, that was my first sentence in my opening statements. I literally said, kafir is like my opponent, right? To establish the aspect of the kufr of this methodology, right, or this belief that we do not need the sunnah. Now, when it comes to al-mu'ayyan, okay, takfir al-mu'ayyan, this is something that is not on our level whatsoever. None of it, okay, it is reserved for the ulama. Now, one of the defenses that Libyano put up for this, okay, is that this is known, right, that many people have refuted her. Many people have, that it's very clear in Islam that if you reject the Sunnah, you leave the fold of Islam. And I agree with him. Yes, many people did refute her. Yes, it is known by necessity in the religion. Okay, but if that was the case, why do the ulama don't do this when it comes to takfir mu'ayyan? Okay, takfir mu'ayyan is something that is very, very advanced. As Brother Abdurrahman mentioned, there are many things to consider. Now, a refutation, if you say that many people have made refutations, now let's be honest, how many of us would even believe that Ayah cares about these refutations? In fact, many of the clips that I saw her is just about her enjoying the rage bait, right? That she hears these things and she loves that she's rage baiting people. Do you think she's paying attention to any of these refutations, even looking at them or anything? So this is not establishing the hujjah. Doing a refutation on TikTok by however many people is not establishing the hujjah. Establishing the hujjah would be to sit the person down with a person of knowledge, with a sheikh, with an imam, okay, and going through absolutely everything with clear evidences, ensuring that the person in front of you is understanding the responses and still going to rejecting the evidences and so on and so forth. You don't say, oh, I've established the hujjah because I made a refutation video, right? That's not establishing the hujjah. And again, a display of a lack of knowledge of what establishing the hujjah is, okay? And especially when you also hear other things about her mental state, okay? Now people saying, oh yes, mental state means that she can't decide right from wrong and everything like that. But again, who are we to establish that? Who's taken her to a psychiatrist or whatever, right? Who's done this? Okay, there are many things that are unknown, right? And especially when we know that if you do takfir mu'ayyan and you get it wrong, that kufr comes back onto you, right? As a layman, that will come back to you, okay? So even when it comes to takfir mu'ayyan, there are some cases that even things known by necessity have to be taken into consideration, okay? So this is not any of our fields, okay? And you will find that the scholars don't like to make takfir often, right? They don't do that. They don't hand out takfir mu'ayyan, right? Like it's cotton candy, okay? So this is not something that Libyano has any authority to do, especially when he calls upon the people to do mass takfir. Now, there is an issue that has happened around a decade ago where this has happened again, right? Where this has happened before, where people started to develop the Khariji mentality by doing this chain takfir, okay? And this is the danger, okay? This is the danger. If you make takfir of a person and then say to the people that you must do takfir, otherwise you yourself are a kafir, you are now calling upon chain takfir. And now if someone doesn't make takfir, like me, I have not made takfir of the woman, okay? Now, is that because I think she's upon Islam? Or because she's saying things correctly? Of course not. I know that what she's upon, the statements that she's made, are kufri. There is no doubt about it. Am I from the Murji'ah, who say that this is only between them and Allah, okay, and that we cannot make any judgment of them or whatever like this, right? No, right? If you refuse to make a takfir because someone else has made the takfir, that doesn't automatically make you a kafir. It doesn't make you a murji', okay? So, subhanallah, you know. So when such a statement is being issued, and when you issuing this sort of rhetoric to such people, and it's not even rhetoric, it's a hukm. When you're establishing this hukm, and now anyone that doesn't agree with you by default is a kafir, let's be honest, ya akhwa. At this point, I'm a kafir to Libyano. Right? That is, as Abdurrahman said it, it's like, if you look at it superficially, this is what it would mean, right? That Libyano has made takfir of me because I have not followed his takfir. And this is the Khariji mentality, okay? Or what leads to it, okay? And of course, I'm not saying that Libyano is a Khariji, okay? He's not, okay? But this is what it can lead to, right? Especially when those who are less educated than Libyano, okay, are going to hear this from his mouth, okay? They're going to think it's fine, okay? Now, again, look, Habibi Yemeni called Libyano and tell him privately, don't do these streams like this, or address in private. Yeah, ikhwa, go back to my introduction, the start of the stream. I've mentioned that not only myself, but others have spoken to him privately, have advised him and admonished him privately, right? I don't do, you guys know I don't do these. Okay, I don't do these streams. None of my streams do I do lightly or on a whim. Okay, and if you notice that half of the things I'm saying is actually praise of Libyano, despite my warning against him. Okay, because I don't want this to be, like I said, I don't want this to be a bashing session. I don't want you guys to think that there is nothing good about Libyano. That would be false. There is much that is good about the brother. Okay, but there is much that is also wrong, and unfortunately the much that is wrong is what is causing such drama in the quote-unquote polemics scene, okay, because it's not the da'wah scene, okay, this is polemics, okay. So yeah, we'll continue inshallah.
Kafir or she's a kafir like her.
So we're gonna skip this part because I've already made my points, and like I said, I'm not here to regurgitate what the brothers have said on the stream, but this is my own thoughts based on what I've seen and everything. And
Me, brother.
so that's the okay.
Brother, the Yahud are cursed.
Just wait. No, North.
Yes.
If me and known polemicists against Judaism and against Christianity call myself a rabbi, on face value, that's me thinking that I'm an actual Jew?
It's not, it doesn't matter what you think, brother.
No, but you said it's on, just wait, you said on face value, brother.
For who? For who? For ignorant, adolescent
for
followers
anybody.
who have no
anybody.
training. No, brother, you're missing the point. These issues are picked. I gave examples, maybe because of, and I don't mean this condescending, but maybe because of your relative freshness, that you're the elders you looked up to are the likes of Ali Dawah Hijab. Those of us who've got some, listen, brother, wait, brother,
that's a low blow, bro.
Sabar, it's not. Wait, have patience.
It is, man.
Have patience, brother. Those of us who have got a few years on you have traveled to actual.
Then he goes on to talk about those things. Now, I agree with Libyano here. Okay, I don't think the argument. I know where Brother Abdurrahman was coming from, but I don't think he worded it in the best possible way. Okay, Libyano is clearly right here. You know that on face value, if you have a Muslim who is, critiquing Judaism and the Torah and rabbis and stuff, you're not gonna think that on face value, right? It's not gonna happen. But what Abdurrahman was saying is also correct. Okay, this point not so much, right? I think more of the point that I mentioned, which is, you don't utilize these titles, which I think Abdurrahman did mention as well. That is a stronger point than the one he mentioned here. But yes, when someone is looking up to you, because at the end of the day, Abdurrahman is coming at this from the angle of Libyano's audience. And it's clear that Libyano's audience are relatively young, very uneducated, right? They love the rhetoric, the the style and everything more than the actual substance of what is being said. And unfortunately, we've seen that tonight, okay, where the people are talking more about Libyano as opposed to the substance, okay, the person, not the quality or the substance of what he says. So he's saying to these people, you know, it could come across wrong. Now, it's not the strongest point, in my opinion. Okay, it's not the strongest point, and I agree with Libyano. It's not a strong point to make. Okay, but at the end of the day, you don't use that title. You don't use that title to mock or even to assume authority over them. Okay, Allah and His Messenger are the authority. Okay, or over the people, not you. Okay. And if you want to establish that superiority, you do so by speaking from the Quran and the Sunnah, right? You don't do so by speaking from their books. You just don't. Okay, and this is how we are elevated. We are elevated by establishing the Quran and the Sunnah, by establishing that. Okay, and unfortunately, when you have certain statements like oh, if you use the Quran and the Sunnah, it's circular, right? Without any qualification, it degrades Islam, okay? And these are some of the statements that we've, this statement and other statements, like, for example, the Bible is a Muslim book, okay? Or it's a tradition of the Muslims or something like this, okay? These things are being said unqualified, right? Now, when you say this out again, what are you doing? What are you doing when you're doing this stuff, right? You are diminishing what Islam is. You are diminishing what Islam is, and you can't do this as a da'i. Okay, you can't do this as a da'i. And you certainly cannot give the Bible that sort of authority, right? That it's the tradition of the Muslims. It's not. Okay. Because even if you want to say that it's the tradition of the Muslims or a Muslim book or anything, you're making certain assumptions, or you are at least making that perception available to the enemies of Islam, which will now take that and run with it. Okay, and even through lay Muslims who are not knowledgeable in the aspects of the previous books, who haven't read the books of Ibn Taymiyyah, of what do you call it? Subhanallah, Ibn Qayyim, right, and others, okay, who have spoken about this in depth, okay, who don't know any Arabic. Libyano knows Arabic; he can read the books, but most of his audience will not, right? So they don't have access to that. So, the point here is, we know what this thing is like. It's called clip culture. What's going to happen? The disbelievers, right? The enemies of Islam, okay? They're going to clip this. They're not going to look for his explanation. I don't care about his explanation. And I didn't see his explanation either, right? I'm not interested in the explanation, okay? Now, when you say something like this, unqualified, that's going to get clipped, and then it's going to be spread. And because of Libyano's popularity and his debates and everything, what's going to happen? They're going to use that as an example. They'll be like, oh yeah, but Libyano said that the Bible is a Muslim book, so you as a Muslim should believe in the Bible. And it will drag you into that argumentation about their Bible, right? There is a lot more harm being done with such a simple statement, okay? And subhanallah, you guys are not listening either. You guys are not listening either. Did I say he said it like that? I said when a statement is made unqualified. Okay. Now, and I also mentioned, regardless of its explanation, it does not matter. People think that if you say something, as long as you explain it, yeah, it's all good. No, there could be more harm. Okay. So you got to refrain from establishing more harm. You refrain from saying things that will cause more damage. That's why I started to warn against hijab, because when he did that, what he did again with Yasir Qadi, and he didn't challenge him whatsoever. Until today, the Christian apologists are still talking about the preservation of the Quran, the holes in the narrative, the qira'at and everything. All of this happened from what? From something that hijab, not something that hijab said, from something that hijab refused to say. Instead of challenging Yasir Qadi, okay, in terms of what he was saying about the Quran, and telling him that he was wrong, okay, or that he needed to clarify, or so on and so on, so right, he remained silent. And when he remained silent, what did the Christians take this as? They took it as, oh, Yasir Qadi is right. Now, Yasir Qadi is not an authority on the Quran at all, not at all, okay. And yet, from that simple silence, from a single interview, we've had 6 years. We've had 6 years of Christian apologists trying to attack the preservation of the Quran. Okay. Now, of course, they have all failed. Okay, because they don't have a lick of knowledge. Okay, and they will never succeed because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has indeed preserved the Quran as promised, as mentioned in Surah Al-Hijr. Okay. But this is to highlight how a simple statement, qualified or unqualified, can be used to cause harm for years and to try to sow doubt into the hearts of uneducated Muslims for years. And if you do not see this, if you are not learning from this, then there is an issue with you. There is an issue with you. And that's why you need to be warned against. Okay? And like I said, this is not about Libyano only. I've mentioned it several times now, that those who defend him are part of the problem. Okay? And not just Libyano, anyone who does this with the deen, right? But again, because of the popularity of Libyano and everything, it's become prudent to mention him specifically. Okay? So, let's continue.
Places of genocide through the Milford.
Okay, he's going through his experiences here. And his experience, when he goes through his experiences here, he does mention something that's quite correct, that when he's gone to these places, you know, where there has been, you know, genocides and mass killings and everything, this tends to happen from those who start off by making takfir, lay people making takfir. So unfortunately, there is no insight, there is no vision, okay, as to what a simple statement could lead to. Okay, and if you don't have that wisdom, that vision, keep your mouth quiet, keep your mouth shut. Okay, we need, all of us, all of the da'at, when we speak, we need to evaluate what we are saying, what we're going to say, and what the consequences and weigh the harms and benefits of what we're about to say before we say it, especially in this era. Okay. Now, I can criticize myself here, right? Because I've mentioned earlier about my death threats, right? Which I issued a couple of years ago. And even though I have qualified it, a lot of the brothers that I truly love and respect, right? And when I say truly love, I consider them as blood, right? Some of these brothers, okay? That's how much I hold them in esteem, okay? They have spoken to me, and even Christians have spoken to me, and they were like, you need to take this back and everything. Okay. Now, obviously I haven't. Okay. Now, obviously I haven't taken it back. Okay. So I did not heed the advice. Now, let me explain why. Okay. Because I'm very unapologetic. Okay. Very unapologetic. Now, one thing is that I have noticed is that a lot of Muslims, the reason why I did that, the primary reason why I did that is that I didn't want the Muslims to think that they have to remain quiet when people blaspheme, right? In fear of the retaliation. Okay. Now, alhamdulillah, the gamble that I played paid off. Alhamdulillah. Okay. And it has reviled a lot of the enemies of Islam. Okay. Those who are vile towards, like truly have enmity towards Islam. Okay. They tried many things against me, right, which have all failed. They have tried to character assassinate me. They've tried to report me to the police and so on and so forth. All of this has failed. Okay, and the reason why they are so angry with me of that is because I mentioned to them that this is what you're going to do, and none of you will be able to succeed with it unless Allah allows you to. Alhamdulillah, Allah has protected me. Right? I put my tawakkul in Allah, and I did that at a risk. Okay. Now, many of you could say that yes, Muhammad, you shouldn't have done this. Al-Yamani, you shouldn't have done this. Okay, and I see the argument. Okay. Fortunately, the way I went about it yielded benefit. Okay. But again, I am aware, I am self-aware of the potential criticism, right? And I have been criticized of many things in private, okay? And until this very day, brothers are sending me things for me to learn from, okay? And for me to share with other brothers to learn from, okay? Because we can always grow, we can always do this, right? And this is what I want Libyano to understand, that akhi, at the end that you are a Muslim brother, okay? And as much as I am harsh with you, I am harsh with you because I want the best for you. I'm warning against you because I want the best for you. Sounds ironic, but this is the reality. Okay? So inshallah we'll continue.
Ulama, don't say I'm pastor so-and-so.
Okay, yeah. All right. So this is, he's essentially, I've made the same point that he's made last night there.
Brother, you gotta let me speak a little because you're bringing up a lot of points. I'm trying to be respectful.
It's all the same point. It's all the same point, and I've exhausted
No, it's not, because you're bringing up ayah in it. You're bringing up the issue of takfir in it.
It's all related.
I understand, but I just want to be able to have a back and forth if that's okay, because, like, you know what I mean. There's a lot to respond to. If that's fine with you.
Shoot. But
okay.
Quick, because we want to keep it moving.
So, yeah. So. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you comparing me, mockingly say I'm the rabbi because I know the Bible, is somehow analogous to Aya's voice, who is a self-proclaimed Quranist, who, according to her, denies any divine revelation outside of the Quran.
No, we've been through all that. We've been through. We're not. Hang on. Because now you're being dishonest. Because you said
you're cutting me off, brother.
Why? Because you said me, who is a rabbi, because I claim to know the Bible. There was nothing I claim to know the Bible. It's Rabbi Libyano with Hebrew writing.
Brother,
come on,
brother. You have to let me finish, man. Otherwise, it's not fruitful, you know.
Yani it's disengaged.
Well,
It's disanalogous. We got your point.
Now, unfortunately, this is where the rhetoric starts, okay? This idea, okay, that, oh, this is not fruitful, okay, because you're interrupting. Now, first and foremost, it's very clear to anyone who uses their head that there was no comparison being made here, okay? There wasn't a comparison being made between Libyano mockingly saying that he's a rabbi and the kufri statements of Ayah. There was no comparison being made. There was no analogy being drawn whatsoever. Okay, and this is why he was called to be dishonest. Okay. Now, if you want to be charitable to Libyano here, you can simply say that. Oh, wait, hold on a second. No, Libyano's just not understanding what's going on. Right, he's completely void of understanding what's going on. But those of us who know him know that he's well aware. Okay, so this would be, and I would agree, a very dishonest statement to try and make it look like that Abdurrahman is drawing an analogy as if the kufri statements of Ayah is the same as, okay, or similar to what Libyano is calling himself, right? Very dishonest, right? And this is now where the quote unquote debate tactics and sophistry and rhetoric is starting to be deployed, right? And if you've noticed, he hasn't spoken a lot, so it's already slipping. Okay. Now again, people keep asking, what are you warning against? What are you warning against? I'm warning against a lack of character, a lack of usul, okay, a lack of knowledge, and being given and with these three things and having such a large platform, on top of being arrogant, okay, and unadvisable, you become someone to warn against. Okay, it's not because oh, he's done major sins or anything like that. We're not calling him out on major sins and stuff like this. It's the fact that you are not, subhanallah, not advisable. And because you're not advisable, you will make those mistakes, give lip service to admitting to those mistakes, and continue with the mistakes. And that's why you become someone to be warned against. Okay, so this is the last time I'm going to say it. Okay.
We got your point. It's
I'm
disanalogous.
trying to.
Just keep
So-
it.
so
now
guys,
you're
can-
accusing
can-
me.
people say.
Now you're
Can I just
accusing
have-
me of tricks.
Can I just
because
have
I'm
Yeah,
one
I-
word?
Yeah. So he's been accused of tricks, and I agree with this.
And then I can
I have-
And the evidence of this will be proven as we go through this. Okay. Inshallah, it's not going to be too much longer. Okay. Libyano wasn't on there for the whole stream, for roughly a third of it. But as we've already said, we'll be skipping through some of the stuff just to get to, because we want to hear what Libyano is saying for himself, and my reaction is more of what Libyano was responding to.
just one word.
You
please.
do it
Can I
all
just-
the time.
Can I have just one
now
word, please?
now I'm
And I
being
can leave.
accused of tricks. You know, like
Yeah, you
well, come
are.
on.
Sorry, guys.
You
Can I
like
just have
to
one
play
word,
with
please?
words.
So
Please,
can
just
I
one
can
word.
I can I finish? Can I finish, brother?
Yeah, I agree with Brother John 100% that this is a play with words. Okay, that you're not this idea of trying to make them too analogous and trying to project that onto Abdurrahman, that he was trying to make this analogous, is just a play on words.
You finished.
Okay,
It's disanalogous. Let's move on. Introspective. You want
No,
to say
no, no.
something?
I don't, brother. You can't
Let him
just
finish.
move
Okay,
on
finish.
and
No,
cut my
finish.
idea off.
No, finish.
Okay,
finish,
okay. Your idea, please, brother.
Finish.
Fair like that, you know.
Okay, خلاص خلاص
Okay, it's
تفضل
okay, finish.
تفضل تفضلون.
I said it's completely disanalogous because
We got that.
me saying that I'm a rabbi, being a known Muslim apologist, on the face value, nobody's gonna think, oh, does he actually think he's a Jew? Right? Nobody would think that.
All right, so he's just repeating that.
Okay, go on.
With a clear, unequivocal statement of kufr that by the ijma' of the ummah takes you outside the fold of Islam. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, but Barakallah feek, but that's not what we said. We never said that he's claiming to be a Jew because he believes he's a Jew. And you yourself,
Yeah,
that's
so-
the point we made.
Okay, let's talk about
Let the brother. Okay, we deal with that point. The brother wanted to say something.
After this Orthodox Muslim, right? I'd like to commend you for taking, actually, it's a difficult thing to come onto a stage where people are not necessarily agreeing with you. So I commend you for doing that. And you have a lot of good. You have a lot of khair. I think people know that. The only issue is the elders who are advising you are doing so out of consideration for you and out of love for you. It's not because we hate you. But one of the problems I have personally towards what you're putting out there is the graphic sexual content, the language. One of the videos that has gone viral now is the video with the woman that you're speaking to. And you used some terms in Arabic. I want you to translate for us correctly what you were saying to that woman.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about because
so the word
introspective
Nikki, the term Nikki, especially when you're clapping your hands.
Brother, just like, and excuse my French, excuse my French, right? But if you just didn't speak English and you heard a guy say a sentence to a girl and he used the word fuck in it or the F.
Again, okay. Again, we need to highlight the ease in which these words are flowing from his mouth, okay? And especially in the public sphere. Now, again, we know that all of us would maybe use swear words in our private lives every now and then due to our own mistakes, our own sins. But there is a different level when you are comfortable saying this in public, okay? Especially as a da'i, okay? Now, I'm not going to play the whole thing because it goes into some of the things, but there is a viral clip where, and like I mentioned, this is the clip that I mentioned that went viral, spread by Christians, of something that they dug up from 4 years ago, right? 3-4 years ago. Okay. Now, and look, here's some more evidence, okay, of the kind of defense that people bring forward, right? Which emphasizes our point. Guys, please don't be jealous of Libyano. Right now, we're showing you everything, well, not everything, but reacting to this thing, which highlights why there's nothing to be jealous of, right? If you are saying that we should be jealous of Libyano, jealous of what? For the foul speech that flows from his lips with such ease? Is this something that, subhanallah, something to be jealous about? If you know what? No. So you were actually making the point for us. Okay. Now, look, here we go. We're jealous of the attention he gets. Yeah, Habibi. All right. Let me tell you something. Brother Ramzi, right? The content over what do you call it? Dawah over dunya. I knew this brother back in COVID, right? When he was a nobody, right? When no one knew who he was. He didn't even have a hair on his a hair on his chin. Okay. Now the brother has over 200,000 subscribers. Have you seen me say anything? Have you seen any of us say anything about Ramzi, attacking Ramzi because he has 200,000 followers, whereas for 7 years I started my channel in 2020, right, in COVID, okay, in February of COVID, right, in February of 2020. It's now, what do you call it, 2026, 6 years. I haven't even reached 10K, right? I'm far from 10K subscribers. Okay. Do you think this is about followers for me? Do you know, really? You will not find me tell people to subscribe to my channel more than 5 times. You will not find that. More than 5 times, you will not find it. Okay. In fact, you will find dozens and dozens of times where I tell people not to subscribe to my channel because I don't want them to learn from me. Okay. And this, look at this accusation. You'll want money, haram money. You are displaying the type of audience that Libyano has. Okay. You are displaying this. So if you are the audience, remember the audience, the chat is a reflection of the creator. So if you are capable of levying such accusations, okay, then you are a reflection upon the person that you follow. Okay. And that's all that will be said about that. Now, when it comes to this clip, okay. Now, Libyano does clarify that he wasn't threatening to rape anyone, okay, which is clear, okay. Now, but this idea, that, oh, I said that I'm going to F-word smack you, right, to a woman, okay. Now, yes, that was happened before he had a platform or anything, but still, it establishes this is not about before I had a platform. This is about Islamic character. Like brothers, if you do not have that character to begin with, what are you doing? Why are you giving dawah? What makes you think that you are fit to give dawah when your character is not in line with that of a da'i? Okay, as we mentioned before, the emphasis of character is in the Quran. Okay, of the Anbiya, that's emphasized. Okay, so if you know, so that's the first thing. Secondly, we'll hear his defense. Okay, he says about how it's wrong and everything. Okay, but then we'll see the exchange, and I'll comment as we go through it.
For principle here, you've posted the video, you've claimed something about me, which is
Okay,
very.
Translation.
Let me finish, brother.
Enlighten me.
I'm getting to it, brother.
Okay.
I'm getting to it, brother. Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
Both of you guys, you Knowledge North on your platform, and Introspective Muslim, have done something of big weight on the Day of Judgment.
Which is
you've taken, just 1 second. We're gonna get to it, man. You've taken a clip that happened 3 years ago, mistranslated by Christians to do character assassination of.
I didn't accept the translation.
It's okay.
Brother,
let me finish.
Now, I'm going to quickly comment here. This is something that has been done with me as well, okay? Where the assumption is being made that we are accepting this from the Christians, that we are accepting that. Now, I can speak for myself when I took this clip to Libyano. I didn't say that, what the hell's wrong with you? Why would you rape, or accuse or threaten a woman with rape? I never made such a thing. Rather, what I said is, can you explain this? Okay. Now, unfortunately, the response back to me was, I'm not surprised that you fall for Christian propaganda. Okay. Now, again, you're seeing this happen here as well, where Libyano is accusing the brothers of accepting what Christians are saying. Okay. No one has accepted that the Christians are truthful in what they are doing, right? Rather, okay, Libyano has a duty to clarify. Okay.
Allow me, please, because I see how this game. I see how these.
It's not a
games are
game,
played.
bro. You have bad intention of.
No, you didn't listen. You did not listen.
Let him finish.
You have to have husnul
No,
dhan.
continue.
Again, this idea of having husnul dhan, okay? Yes, of course, we should have husnul dhan of each other. But when your reputation gets to such a point where people can easily unite, can easily believe that you have such profanities because of your reputation. So husnul dhan now becomes difficult on the Muslim, right? Because of what is publicly known, right? And this is the unfortunate thing. This is not about having bad intentions. Now, this is the thing, is like, now Libyano is assuming and accusing all of us, okay, of wanting to assassinate his character. Okay. No, we're essentially showing you that this is what you are saying. You need to explain it. Okay. If you feel like your character is being assassinated, well, sorry, this is not our fault. It's because you truly do have bad character. And this is why it's emphasized so much, because it is one of the fundamentals of being a da'i.
Continue. It's okay. Continue.
Don't accuse me of games and tactics.
No, continue. Continue. Please continue.
Yeah, so the clip was, yes, I said something that I shouldn't have done, inappropriate, okay? And the translation is, I'm going to come and smack the shit out of you. That's what it means.
No. The actual translation, Nikki.
Can I pause you introspect? Let me pause you. Okay. Let me pause. Okay, Libyano, brother.
You guys say I'm young and I'm
brother.
Just allow me, please. Just allow me.
No, I thought you finished.
Again, this underhanded way of calling them childish, okay? Saying, oh, you guys are saying I'm young and all of this, and you guys cut me off. This is an indirect saying of saying that they're childish. Now, of course, they're not being childish. Now, while I agree they didn't handle it in the best way, they're not being childish. And it is very natural for someone, when they see someone, say things in that way, right, that they're gonna want to come in, right? This happens all the time. You see someone making a mistake, making a thingy, it's you're gonna want to come in and comment. Okay. Now, so this is underhanded, which is why they've mentioned this to him. So this idea of him playing games. This is not an accusation. This is knowledge of how he operates. Okay, this is a game, right? And that's why I said before that we will see how the mask starts to slip, and it is. Okay. Unfortunately, right, he wasn't able to hold this facade up for very long. Okay, to at least even be able to defend himself. Right now, obviously, he got called out by introspective Muslim. Okay, because he translated it initially as, "Oh, I'm going to smack the S out of you." Right now, again, what do you call it? The translation here is incorrect, okay? Because the word Nikki is a swear word, right? It's a swear word, okay? Now, whilst it doesn't denote the claim of rape, okay, or the accusation levied by the enemies of Islam that he's threatening to rape, it's still using the F word, right? So at least translate it properly. Now, he does do it again, right? He does translate it again properly, right? Now, one thing that the brothers didn't touch upon is the company he keeps as well, right? Now, on that same clip, he has a brother who, I think there's this this character Malik, okay, he says, no, you shouldn't be doing this, and he speaks to someone else, and he says, oh, guy, you know, listen, can you tell him not to do this? And then the other brother that he was associating with, he actually goes one further, right? He actually says that, you know, I'm, what do you call it? No, that you're right. You know, she's a, you know, the W word, right? She's that word, okay? And so we just highlight the sort of company we keep, okay? That was being kept, okay? And even this Malik character, I have no idea who he is, but I've heard many people speak about how at least they were really close with each other. They were associated with each other in whatever sense. Now, I'm not sure of the details, okay? But the people that seem to have surrounded Libyano in, you know, in previous years may explain why such language is easy for him, okay? Now, and this is why it is important for us to this is why it's important for us to keep good company, okay? Now, alhamdulillah, Libyano has kept good company, you know, because obviously he's speaking to du'at and everything that have good character and everything. Unfortunately, their character has not rubbed off on him, okay? Not in the way that is befitting of a da'i, at least, okay? So unfortunately, the people that he has been associated with in the past, their character has rubbed off on him, or, you know, during his upbringing, Allahu Alam, okay? And it seems to explain why such profanity is easy on his tongue, but unfortunately that hasn't gone away. And again, if for any of us, when we have such flaws, it is a duty upon us to step away. Now, I say this as someone who does step away. All right, as you guys know, every year I take a couple of months off. I would stop doing streams and whatever for a couple of months. The reason for that, there's two reasons, okay? First and foremost, when you are doing da'wah, it takes a lot of time from you, okay? It takes a lot of time, okay? The amount of research and everything, it takes a lot of time away from your family, from you know, specifically family, okay? And this is why it's, you know, for especially if you are a da'i who wants to get married, marry a woman who will be patient with you, right? But at the same time, do not neglect your responsibilities towards her, okay? Give the time and everything, but it's easier said than done, okay? And I can say this from experience. So I've dedicated myself, especially within the quote-unquote Christmas period, right? Especially because here in the UK, there is a mandatory 2 weeks off, 10 days off or anything, right? It's easier to spend time with the family, but I take a couple of months off, usually between, you know, end of November to the end of January. So that's the first reason. The second reason is so that I refresh, because doing da'wah takes a toll. It takes a toll, and even I feel it. Okay, well, I say even I as if I'm someone, astaghfirullah al-azim, yeah. But I subhanallah, it takes a massive toll, because when you're constantly speaking to people who lack any sort of critical thinking, who are mu'anideen, you know, consistently argumentative, it gets to you. And at the end of the day, we're all human beings. It gets to us, okay? So it can taint you. It can taint you, especially when you're dealing with such people day in, day out, right? And especially if you are as active as Libyano, okay? It can rub off on you, right? And it can make you sour, okay? Libyano admits to this, okay, later, right? And alhamdulillah that he does admit to it, right? That, you know, yes, I lost my cool and everything. I understand that, okay? We've all lost our cool at some point, okay? And said things that we shouldn't have said, okay? But again, it's about the reaction afterwards. How do you deal with it afterwards, okay? This comment here, Libyano is frontline against the worst of Christians, remember that. No, I disagree. If anything, I would say that he is one of the people that helps them the most. That helps them the most, due to his incitement of their blasphemy. Okay? And like I mentioned before, when you use certain use certain phrases like the Bible is a Muslim book, okay, or Muslim tradition, or something along these lines, you're helping them. You're actually helping them, whether that was your intent or not. You're helping them, okay. And like we mentioned, these things, when they are said, they cannot be taken back. They cannot be taken back, okay. And at the end of the day, as well, this, look, I don't want, look, there are two extremes in the chat. One saying Libyano is just an influencer, nothing more. This is also not true, okay. This is also not true, okay. Because he's not just an influencer, okay. He has done good work for the deen. I've mentioned it already that I used to be someone who would listen to him often, okay, and I used to enjoy the stuff that he was doing, okay. But there are two extremes in the chat, and of course there are also those that are balanced. Now, let's continue, inshallah. Now,
I'm the young one, and I'm the arrogant one.
It's okay.
You can't.
It's okay. Look, all I'm asking you is very simple.
I thought you said you finished though. I thought you said you.
Okay, yeah.
To be honest,
anyway, this is just an argument.
No, you use
question, brother.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me answer your question.
Go.
I'm gonna repeat it. I don't want to say these stuff. Let me finish.
Okay, but just say self-censored, brother.
I got you. Okay, it's your platform. I'll respect that.
Exactly.
So, in my dialect, I'm Libyan. Any Libyans here are welcome to come. I'll do mubahala on this. I'll curse myself and my family.
Go ahead, brother.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Now, again, this, I mean, what is the point of this? Claiming to have mubahala, right, of over this statement, it's unnecessary, okay? A minor correction here. This is not something to dwell on too much. It's a minor correction, but again, it's just like, why? Why do mubahala on that? I mean, that's like, subhanallah.
Go ahead.
I'll curse myself and my family because
no need,
you
brother.
guys.
Go ahead.
No need.
Go ahead.
Triha means slap or smack.
Okay, that part we got.
Let me finish. Nikik by itself usually means to F or the F word, right?
Okay.
But when it's added with smack, it means something like I'm gonna F and smack you.
Yep.
You understand?
Good.
So what I said, I'm gonna come F and smack you. Okay. Now I didn't say that I'm gonna sexually assault someone. The whole language is inappropriate. I shouldn't tell anybody I'm gonna come F and smack them, especially a woman. This was 4 years ago or three years ago, before I ever had a platform. I was doing stupid things online. Okay. And yeah, I've done many stupid things online before, and I just happened to have a platform after. So of course, these things are gonna follow me, and I already know. I accept that, no problem.
Okay.
But just one second.
Just one question. I'll be gone after this.
It hurts me a lot for you guys to claim that I'm saying I'm gonna grape someone without confirming it first. You know?
Now, good, admitting to that and everything, but then ending it with the accusation that, oh, I'm upset with you guys because you think that I've said that I'm going to rape someone. Sorry, when was this said, right? So that is, it's just, it started off well, admitting to the mistake and everything, but then ending it with that, when no one has ever said this. No one has ever accused Libyano of threatening anyone to rape anyone, right? It's actually, I'll take that back, because I think Introspective Muslim later on does accuse him of something else to do with rape, okay, which is incorrect, right? So I take that back, okay, and we'll get to that as well. And Introspective Muslim was wrong there, okay. So, but again, right, just as we go in, I'm trying not to jump ahead of myself too much, okay. So yes, I agree with Ibn Uthman, okay, that's what he did, okay. So yeah, you don't do that, right? Again, these sort of underhanded comments where you're trying to make, just attach onto the end this accusation that hasn't been levied against you.
Okay, let me ask you this one question. I'll finish. Okay, so that was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And you've clarified what it means.
Yeah.
The F word was used, whether you use it colloquially, but the F word was there. Okay, that word means to F. Let's just put it out there. So your second clip, where you speak to a Hindu boy about sodomizing him and his God. How long ago was that one?
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you brought that up. So first, before we talk about the Hindu,
No, don't
clip,
tell me what he
that-
said. I don't want to hear what he said. I don't want to hear what he said.
I know, brother. Just come on. Let me answer your question. Okay, it's like an interrogation. So let me answer your question. So
Yes, it is an interrogation. Okay. It is an interrogation. Now, because obviously he's the subject of the thingy. Now, here's something that I wanted to highlight here. Okay, so here you go. Libyano brought Avery's wife's past, but heaven forbid Libyano's past. Now, again, this is a misunderstanding of what's going on. People now think that, oh, we are preferring Avery's wife over Libyano. No. Rather, due to our love of Libyano, we are holding him to higher standards. We are holding him to higher standards. Now, Avery's wife, she's a blasphemer. She's, an enemy of Islam. Okay? So with her, we deal with her in enmity. Okay? But in the correct way. Okay? Libyano is being called out of love for him because we want to hold him to the standards of Islam, as we should all of each other. Okay? We are a nation which enjoins good and forbids evil. Okay? So when you see us criticizing each other, when you see me do this, okay, this is evidence that Islam is not built upon the personalities. Okay, that our da'wah is something to be criticized, that our da'wah is something to be rectified when it's wrong, that to represent Islam is to correct one another, is to enjoin good and forbid evil, whether it's small or large. Okay, so this is, and again, this is not speaking about, oh, Libyano was past. Okay, we're talking about how he's dealing with it now, right? This happened yesterday. Okay, so how is he dealing with it now? Okay, how is he defending himself about it? Okay, now bear in mind this clip has been made viral for a while. Okay, and he has refused to actually acknowledge it. Now, in his mind, not acknowledging it is to show that it's not worthy of it. Unfortunately, this is wrong reasoning, right? It's faulty reasoning. When something like this happens where your character is being assassinated, you must address it, okay? Because now it's not just your character into question, but Islam. You're attaching to yourself to Islam here. So Islam comes to being called into question, okay? It's the typical being guilt by association, okay? So now here is being something. What the Hindu said before was important context. No, it's not. It's not. Because again, the question here is about how do we deal with it? You can give whatever context you like, right? Whatever sort of blasphemy. At the end of the day, there are ways better to deal with it, okay? So, brothers, Libyano said he's not a da'i, stop wasting your time. Well, no, he actually said both things, right? One point he called he's giving da'wah to Christians, okay, and he also calls himself a polemicist, right? More recently, he's been focusing on the polemicist, but this has happened after the criticism has become more apparent against him. Okay, now, as Saifullah says, saying you are not a da'i doesn't make your character immune to criticism, right? Because you're still, even as a polemicist, you're still trying to represent Islam. You're still trying to defend Islam, okay? You may not be inviting to Islam, okay, which he actually does do, okay, sometimes. So he does do da'wah, okay? Yes, I agree. Most of the stuff he does is polemical, right? And there isn't a hint of da'wah in it, okay? But this idea, okay, that, and he makes a massive blunder, okay? Again, I'm trying not to get ahead of myself, right? He makes a massive blunder, which unfortunately many do, right, when it comes to utilizing Abu Bakr. Now, and then again, he tries to say that, oh no, I haven't tried to use Abu Bakr, but we'll get to that.
Oh yes, regarding that video, this was recent, like a couple months ago, and I've crashed out. Sometimes I crash out. Everybody knows that.
And this is why we say, take a step back. Every single one of us needs to take a step back, because he's right. We all crash out, right? It's something that happens because we can only have so much patience, Some of us have more patience than others. Okay, but everyone loses their patience eventually. Okay, but there are also some who, even when they lose their patience, they are able to crash out in a way which does not revile their own character. Yeah. So inshallah, that's an advice.
Okay, I try my best not to crash out like that, not to use bad language, but
that I disagree with. Does he try his best not to use bad language? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Okay. It's often, and again, this goes back to why he has such a reputation for bad language, because it happens often. So if you think that you're trying your best not to use bad language, if this is doing your best not to use bad language, then Habibi, you need to stop polemics and da'wah and all of that in totality, because your best is clearly not working. Okay, clearly not working.
Sometimes I do, sometimes I slip up. Okay, the context of that video is that the Hindu started blaspheming.
No, I don't want to hear what he had to say. I don't want to hear what he had to say.
No, because you didn't include that part in your video, bro.
He said, "Police be upon him." Is that what he said?
No, you didn't. But you didn't include it in your video, bro. You made it seem like I just started cussing for no reason, bro. So now I have to clarify,
brother.
Okay.
Again, the accusation of trying to take it out of context. No, again, if someone is trying to project that onto another brother, right, as if, oh yeah, you've taken that out because you want the people to think that I do these things, that I start these things. That's just disingenuous, right? Because sometimes we clip things to drive a particular point home, right? To focus on something which is more important. Yes, we know that that non-Muslims insult Allah and His Messenger, okay? But again, it's not about them. It's about how you react to that, okay? It's about how you react to that.
I think, brother Orthodox.
Okay,
Somebody says to you, sorry, let me just add one thing. If somebody says to you, police be upon him.
Wait, let me clarify it first, bro.
Go ahead, clarify.
So the filthy Hindu said disgusting things about the Prophet. He blasphemed, right? After, well, we were supposed to talk about the moon splitting, but he was filthy and he was cutting me off constantly. Then he started blaspheming.
What was filthy? Give me one example of the filth.
Come on, bro. Come on, man.
What? Give me one example of the filth. What was the filth he mentioned?
That the Prophet is police be upon him, the night of Azot, stuff. Like, what are we doing right now?
Yeah, we shouldn't say that.
Yeah, like, what are we doing right now? Anyways, so.
Yeah, I don't understand, I don't understand what happened there from introspective Muslim. It's like, we're calling him a filthy Hindu because of his remarks. It's, that's not an issue. So to try and corner Libyano on the idea of calling him filthy was a bit strange to me. Okay. Now, of course, what he said to the Hindu is absolutely not right. Okay, and Libyano did admit to that. But I'll mention why this is still an issue. Okay, in a bit, and we'll get to that very shortly, inshallah.
The Hindu started blaspheming, and me, when somebody blasphemes in front of me, something turns on in my mind. I start going crazy, and yeah, I have to control myself. And
I disagree. Okay, I completely disagree with this idea that when someone insults Allah and His Messenger, Libyano sort of loses his mind a little bit and out of the ghayrah for Allah and His Messenger. Now, if that was true, he would not incite it. Okay, he would not incite it. Okay, when you are speaking to a Christian and you call him a cross-licker without that person blaspheming, you are inciting that. Okay, and knowing that you're what do you call it, knowing your audience and knowing that you are being watched by these people, right, by the enemies of Islam, you're inciting that. Okay, and this is why Libyano, he also mentions it later when they talk about how the animal, what's his name, forget his name. Anyway, one of the animals, they called him, they gave him an ultimatum on Twitter, right? I mean, this is why you're being targeted. This is why you're specifically being called out, okay? Because that's you have been inciting that, so they are now targeting you as a reason to elevate their blasphemy, okay? So this idea that Libyano has this ghaira for Allah and His Messenger, to the extent that he's saying it in the, you know, in his defense, I don't accept that. I don't accept that by virtue of his actions. Again, we can give lip service, right? But the actions will prove that it's lip service, right, or not. And apparently, someone has called me a munafiq. Who called me? There you go. Don't be a hypocrite. I mean, subhanallah, you know, but there you go. Let's carry on.
Been doing that for the most part. But in that point, I guess I was just having a bad day. It was nighttime. I was tired. And I started cussing him out and his God. Now, did I use bad language? Yes. Did I do it first? No. Did I do it in retaliation? Yes. And as a matter of fact, and we could talk about it, doing something in retaliation is permissible by the consensus.
Okay, let's not go into that. Let me ask you
I'm going to cover that next week.
I'm going to leave. Just one question. I'm going to leave. There's one question. I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
When he began to revile Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Before, I wanted to carry on, but then I think it's more prudent for me to stop. Now, when these sweeping general statements is a massive, massive problem, okay? Especially when you have such a large audience, when you're speaking to people who have no knowledge whatsoever in their deen, right? And again, I want to remind the people, it's an obligation upon you. It's an obligation upon you to study your religion, okay? And if you think studying your religion is by watching YouTube videos of du'at, then you are severely mistaken, okay? Now, when he says that this is a general thing, that it is permissible to revile the disbelievers, what he's saying is correct. But leaving it open in such a way is essentially saying that it's opposite to what he said. He's like, I'll use in bad language and everything, but it's permissible to revile them. Well, hold on a second. You're just sort of contradicting yourself, because you've left that so open that anyone could interpret that now that what you did was actually correct, even though you said what you did was wrong because you used bad language. So it's confusing. Okay, again, these sweeping general statements. Okay, and this is why the brothers cut him off, and they were like, no, let's not get into that, right? Because they know it's not as basic as that. It's not as basic as, oh, it's accepted by the consensus of the ummah that it's okay to revile. Yes, generally speaking, this is true, but we got to break it down, right? Islam is not, it's not a religion of sweeping general statements. You know, that's not what Islam is, okay? Because then that it leaves it open to your interpretation. So subhanallah, so this is something very, very dangerous to be doing. So if you are going to go down that route, you've got to be specific, because now we're talking about something very specific here.
Yeah.
Did you have to stay on that call, or could you have just left?
No, you could. It's more virtuous to leave.
Okay, so next time this happens, are you going to stay and curse people out, or are you going to leave?
Well, I just told you, it's more virtuous to leave.
But are you next time? You've done it twice already.
So
the third time, are you going to stay, or are you going to continue using sexual language?
I'll answer your question, okay? But one point I want to add is I don't like the way you're talking to me as if you're an authority over me, right?
And this, for me, is exactly what sort of pushed me over the edge to make this, to do this stream. Okay. Now, notice here, introspective Muslim, despite the mistakes that he has made, here is on point. Okay. You've made this mistake 2 times now, right? So on the 3rd time, are you going to walk away, or are you going to continue to do this? Okay, now look at this. Look, Libyano was correct. What? Correct on what? Yeah, correct on what? Now, subhanallah, Okay. Notice how this he isn't an authority. Who said he was an authority? Who said he was an authority? Yeah, did introspective Muslim didn't tell him that he was an authority over him, right? Now, here it's very clear. Okay, Libyano doesn't. Over here is where he establishes, okay, that he's not going to take advice from anyone. Okay, rather he tried to so rather he took this and tried to flip it as if the person is assuming authority over him. Okay. Now, the problem here is is exactly why he should be warned against, because he doesn't take advice. Now, introspective Muslim. Now I've heard things about the brother. Okay. I don't know anything about him. Okay. I'm commenting on him as he is here. Okay. As per this conversation. Okay. Now, so no. It's not about ignoring the chat, akhi, okay? It's ironic you telling me to ignore the chat and I highlight your comment, right? This is not about ignoring the chat. I want to engage with the chat, right? To demonstrate both sides, right? Like I said, there are two extremes as well as a balance, right? There are those who would criticize Libyano to the point of saying that he does nothing right, and there are those who almost come across as they see him infallible. They agree with absolutely everything he does and says, right? So subhanallah, okay. So that's why I'm highlighting the comments and looking into it, right? Because again, this is also part of teaching, advice, and so on and so forth, right? This idea of he took advice, no, he did not. Okay, and I will demonstrate this at the end of this stream, okay, that he didn't take the advice. Now, clearly here, right? He's saying, okay, you've done this once, twice. It's happened twice now. What are you going to do the third time, right? Now he said, now instead of saying anyone who takes advice will say, you know what? Yes, next time I'm going to step back. I'm going to do my best to step back. He didn't say that. He said, I agreed with you. It's virtuous, which is not the response. That's not correct. Okay. So what is actually, and then he flips it, right? And he says, wait, I don't like the way you're talking to me. You're not an authority over me. Well, hold on a second. First and foremost, when someone gives you good advice, you're supposed to take it, right? You're not supposed to look at it as if he's trying to be a father for a father or an authority or anything. At the end of the day, we all have to keep each other in check, all advise each other and make sure that we correct ourselves, right? And this is where the arrogance is being displayed. This is where the character of being unadvisable is being shown clearly, right? And the gaslighting, right? So this is very, very prudent, right? And it just highlights what we are saying in total, and which is why the brothers treated him in the way that they did, right? They knew how he was going to play these games, okay? Because of what they have seen, and I agree with them. Okay, so we'll carry on, inshallah.
Akhi, I'm asking you simple questions. I'm asking you simple questions. You're the one. No, let me finish this time. Let me finish. You're the one. You're the one who has clips online going viral, not me. And so when you speak, what does that have to do with okay, everything? Because you're a da'iya. Are you not a da'iya? Are you not a da'iya? Are you not a da'iya? Are you a da'iya?
Just look, this has nothing to do with you.
Yes or no?
This has nothing to do with you, brother.
Are you a da'iya? Are you a da'iya?
Bro, are we gonna act like Christians or Muslims?
Are you a...
Now, it is very ironic that he says this, because unfortunately, this is what he does to Christians. Okay, which is again going back to what I said earlier, that when I used to listen to him, I came across one of the videos where it was very displeasing to my ears, right? Because I heard profanity, I heard the sort of language used by Christians, and when I turned to see who was speaking, it was Libyano, right? And this is a year back, right? Now, what do you call it? So it's very ironic that he says this, that are we going to behave like Christians or Muslims? Now, and if you pay attention to some of the videos that Libyano has put out, that's exactly what he does. He's always cutting people off. He's always repeating the same question and everything. And while that may be good rhetoric and everything, that's also what Christians do. Okay, that's also what Christians do. So this underhanded, again, more underhanded comments, right? Accusing them of having the characters of Christians, of disbelievers. Okay, very ironic.
Yes or no?
Okay, when you start talking to me with respect, I'll answer you, bro.
I'm speaking to you.
Another ironic thing, considering that he has no respect for his elders, none whatsoever. Okay, this person believes, okay, that if he is ignoring you, it's because he's respecting you. Okay, and when he speaks to you, he is unable to hold his tongue. Okay, he's unable to hold his tongue. Okay, and I'm saying this from my interactions. Okay, and from the interactions that I know that he has had with other brothers. Okay, so this idea that, oh, when you respect me, I'll answer you. No, sorry, you have to earn that respect. Okay, and in terms of the respect that this quote unquote respect that you give your elders, sorry, you have not earned that respect. Okay, and nor will you receive it. Okay, and like I said, I have exchanged very, very harsh words. Okay, with him. Okay, due to his character. Okay, due to his lack of respect, more than anything. And if you haven't noticed, right, most of what I'm warning against is character, which is to highlight how important character is in Islam. Okay, it's extremely important to highlight this. Okay, so yes, warning against the person because of his character is prudent here. Okay, because the character is what leads to all the other blunders. Okay.
Respectfully, are you a da'iyah?
Okay, so don't ask me something else before I clarify the first thing, bro. Please, let me finish, okay? Before you ask me, am I a da'iyah? You know the answer. Why are you asking me, am I a da'iyah? No.
You're a rabbi. That's
what kind of question is that?
I'm not sure about the da'iyah part.
So
that is incorrect. Okay, saying you're a rabbi, considering that earlier in the stream they were talking about, how on face value, if someone sees you calling yourself a rabbi, they could take this as you're a Jew and everything. To then make this comment after saying that is completely wrong. Okay, and I think it's just because I don't know why, but I'm not even going to try to assume why, but that is not correct at all. Okay. But he calls himself a rabbi. Yes. In mockery, right? No, that is wrong. Okay. You don't do that. You don't do that. Okay. You don't call yourself a rabbi because you know more about the other person's scripture. These terms have a certain connotation, so you don't use them. You don't use them, right? If you heard me say, for example, if I am discussing with a Christian and I say to him, I'm a priest, yeah. Now, what does that connotation entail? Now, I can say this mockingly. If I say, oh, I'm a priest, okay, that what do you call it, to make mockery of someone that I know more about his what do you call it, religion, more about his book and everything. But the word has a specific connotation, that I am someone who propagates and teaches, so it's terrible, right? It's a terrible thing to use. So what's wrong with simply saying that you guys are so uneducated that I know more about your scripture than you do? Why isn't that not enough? Okay, that's enough to do that. And like I said, subhanallah, this here, look, bro, can you at least be honest and say that they don't let him talk? And unfortunately, you guys are suffering from the same disease that he has suffered from. He wasn't listening to what they were saying, and neither are you. I've said several times, right, that I did not agree with the way that it was handled, right, for the most part. Okay. And even right now, I'm saying about how introspective Muslim was saying something completely wrong. Okay, calling him a rabbi. Oh, you're a rabbi, but I'm not sure if you're a da'i. So this is, you know, even though I'm warning against Libyano, I'm still holding the other brothers to account. Okay? No, that's not correct. Okay, that's not correct. So again, this is about justice. This is not me here to you know, like I said, just bash on Libyano. If anything, I started this stream by praising him, right? So yeah, you guys need to pay attention, inshallah. Okay.
So let me just tell you. I said, when you asked me, are you gonna do it again? You're gonna do it again? You're talking to me like you're my father, bro.
No, I said, are you going to stay
bro, let
on
me
the
finish,
live
bro.
when people blaspheme the prophet or not?
Please let me.
It's a reasonable question.
Please let me finish, bro. I appreciate it. Okay. So please, I could take your advice, bro. I could appreciate that. Look, you know, Orthodox Muslim.
Now this is the part which fooled everyone. I take your advice, bro. Right? The reality, he hasn't. The reality is that when someone asks you this and you don't say, I'm going to, you know, I'm going to stop, I'm going to go back, I'm just going to kick them off the stream or not engage with them. If you're not correcting yourself on the spot, rather than just generally saying that, yes, it's not a virtuous thing to do, there's something more virtuous, that is a demonstration that you're not taking the advice. And especially when then you go to flip that and be like, oh, but you're trying to be an authority over me, you're trying to be like my father, you're now attacking the person who's giving you, who's telling you the correct thing to do, and actually questioning you, rightfully so, again, because it is known of you to not take advice. It is known of you not to take advice. Okay? So again, we're talking about lip service. Right? And unfortunately, many of you have fallen for this lip service. Right? Which is a shame. Right? Because it shows that you've attached yourself to a personality, right? That whatever flows from his mouth, you accept without looking at the actions, which completely contradict what he's saying. Anyway, we'll continue.
It's more virtuous to leave. Make sure you could control yourself next time, and you know, we could slip up, and I'll say like, yeah, you're right, bro, absolutely 100%. But when you come and talk to me like you're my dad,
no, I'm not talking to you like your dad. I'm speaking to you. I'm asking you, are you going to do it again? I don't
like that, bro.
Now that's the definition of being childish. Okay. Now, for someone who is mature, and especially for a man who is married, okay, and mashallah and Allahumma barak, he has, you know, a child now. Okay, may Allah make him the fruits of his the fruit of his eyes, or what's the phrase? Subhanallah, forgot. But may Allah bless him and protect his child from all of the fitna and make him a great da'i in of himself, and yeah, the coolness of his eyes, the coolness. Barakallah fikum, right? May Allah make him the coolness of his eyes, and you know, may he be a hafid of the Quran to put crowns on the heads of Libyano and his wife on that day. So you know, may Allah, you know, bless Libyano and his entire family, right? So all that is better. Okay. So you know, he has all of this, but the way he's addressing this, you know, he's a man of responsibility. Okay. And so this is very childish, you know, to be like, yeah, but I don't like the way you're talking to me, Habibi. You know, it's really, first and foremost, he didn't talk to you like he's an authority over you. He didn't talk to you like he's your father. Okay. Rather, the pressing on that is because it is known that you don't take advice. So he wanted to make sure that you are going to heed this advice. Okay. So yes, tone matters when giving advice, but as I've repeatedly said, that Libyano in private has been advised and admonished by many people. Okay, by many people, right? So we know more about the situation than you guys do. You're just seeing what's happening on the screen. So you know, so when you see introspective Muslim behave in this way, like I've already criticized him for when things I don't agree with. Okay, but this I'm not criticizing for, because he's using this tone because of what he knows about Libyano. Okay. Yeah, making sure that you would heed advice. You can say it sounds condescending, right? But it's not. For we need to make sure that each other are heeding the advice of the brother. Okay. Like, what do you want us to say? Do you want me to put a pacifier in his mouth and get him to suckle on it and sit him down and cuckoo him for him to take advice? No, he's a man. Okay. Sometimes you have to use a firm tone, firm words, especially when you're speaking to someone that you know or doesn't take advice. What would he have to do to have unity with you and him? Correct his character. Correct his character. It's just that simple. Very simple. Okay. And to heed advice, to take a step back, to not be arrogant. Okay. To not think himself above others when it comes to his opinion versus other opinions. He dismisses everything else and mocks. If he has a disagreement with other people, he will mock their position. Okay. So subhanallah, at this point, can I give you nasiha would be condescending? Well, again, this is about maturity. If you are mature in your interactions, this idea of condescending is not a question. Subhanallah.
Okay, fine. You don't like that, but are you going to stay or not next time? You need to know.
Inshallah, I'm going to try to do what's virtuous all the time.
That means to leave. You will not sit with these people who are filthy.
If you already know.
Allah knows exactly khair. I appreciate the fact that you came online.
So again, it's this idea like I'm going to try and do what's more virtuous. Why not? The use of language is very important. Okay. Why not just simply say, I'm going to do my best to walk away? Right? Why not say that? Okay. Because when you say that, oh, I'm going to do something, I'm going to try and do what's most virtuous, it just doesn't come off right, especially for those of us who have given advice and received advice. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound like you're taking that advice. Like I said, I will prove that this advice was not heeded. Okay, to you all. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Line, I really appreciate that.
Take away your slander of me now?
What slander? You
said that I'm gonna grape somebody, dude.
Okay, so are you willing to apologize to that woman for what you said to her that day?
Dude, first of all, you have nothing to do with that woman.
Okay, so you don't want to apologize to her.
Second of all, introspective. Second of all, okay.
Again, poor response. Okay, again, a poor response. Now, first and foremost, again, I already made it very clear that introspective Muslim here is wrong for accusing Libyano of threatening to rape anyone. Okay, because that's not what was happening. Okay, that didn't happen. What he said was extremely wrong. What Libyano said to the Hindu was extremely wrong, but he didn't accuse of physical sodomy, right? It's just not right. Okay, now obviously this is it is used, right, and we've heard others use this sort of language of this intellectual sodomy, right, which again it doesn't make it any better, to be honest, right? It's still profane language. Okay, one's just literal, the other's metaphorical, but both is just terrible, right? So not going to defend that whatsoever. But for introspective to also accuse of it in a literal sense is also incorrect. But the response here, okay, is it's just terrible. I need to go back.
Okay, so you don't want to apologize to her.
Ah, yes, the apology, right? When you say, are you going to apologize to the woman that you've sworn at and everything, and your immediate response is like something else, it just highlights that you're not sorry about it. You're not sorry about it. Okay.
Introspective. Second of all, okay, we're talking about your slander of me.
What about your slander of
Are you
Ayah?
going to take away your
What about your slander
of
of Ayah? You're running slander campaigns day and night, so you can't talk about slander.
Okay, let's talk about Ayah. Do you think Ayah is a Muslim?
No, let's not go there.
Now, again, very, very, like, subhanallah, look how he quickly jumps to asking the person if he's if he thinks she's a Muslim. Now, this again is the danger of questioning someone. Oh, are you going to agree with me that she's a kafira? And this is why Abdurrahman what do you call it, stopped him, right? Because he didn't want it to go there, right? Because he knows where this is going to lead, right? And this is, alhamdulillah, what experience does for you, right? Now, but still, you know, again, because the brother brought up Ayah, so what? Even if you bring up Ayah, you don't ask another layman, right, to make takfir. You don't do that, okay? Especially after you've done a video where you've made it very clear that if you don't agree with me that she's a kafira, you're a kafir. So this is why it was shut down. Now, of course, this idea of the slander of Ayah, I don't believe any slander was being made by Libyano. I don't understand where this happened, where introspective Muslim is getting this from. Okay, this idea that he's slandering Ayah is total garbage to me, right? Everything that Libyano did say about Ayah is correct. Okay, and I didn't oppose him with any of that. Okay, in terms of her views, what she said, and everything, and the kufri statements. Where I do differ, right, and extremely strongly with Libyano, is that you do not make takfir in the way that you have. Okay, you do not make takfir in the way that you have, and especially you don't go out and tell people if you don't make takfir of such and such a person, you yourself become a kafir. Okay, because there are many people who didn't make takfir of her. Okay, so what you've essentially done is made takfir of many other Muslims now. Okay, and this is the danger that happens. Okay, now you could be you've done this unwittingly. Okay, without any wisdom, without any thought, which is in of itself very dangerous. So these are the issues that are piling up, subhanallah, right? And again, we're not talking about takfir al-naw. Takfir al-naw is known. I mean, look, have you not seen what I've done with hadith rejectors? Have you not seen this? Okay, I've been speaking about hadith rejectors way before Libyano. Okay, so don't come to me and talk to me about hadith rejectors. We are not talking about takfir al-naw. We're talking about takfir al-mu'ayyan. So subhanallah, so this is why Abdurrahman shut it down, and may Allah bless him for that.
Let's move.
Oh, you don't want to go there? This whole live is about Ayah, bro.
No, it's not. Wait.
No, it's not. It's about Libyano.
We'll get to that. I'll get in a second. Okay. Are you finished introspective? Did you get very careful? At no point did I endorse. What did I say?
With the translation, bro. That's the problem.
Brother, the translation's there. I said, what did I say? I said we will get to the correct translation.
You can't remove.
So again, just Libyano not paying attention to what's actually being said. But we'll move on.
No. So listen, brother.
You said that, but I'm saying, brother, if like you could have not included the translation.
No. I'm doing you.
Just semantics here. So we'll move on, inshallah. So this is essentially going through what I've mentioned again about how this stuff follows you and how things spread. So we're not going to cover that. This has already been covered. So this is actually Abdurrahman saying quite a few things. Okay, so that's it.
I just want to speak. So Fontaine, it sounds like you want me to, if there's a clip of me apparently saying I'm going to grape somebody, you think that I should ignore that accusation. 1 second, Fontaine, please let me finish, man. Come on, bro. Let me finish, man.
One thing that again, this may seem very minor to many of you, right? But this is something that is quite major. Like, John is his elder, right, in age. Okay. Now, when you call someone by their last name like that, Fontaine, that in of itself is a level of disrespect. Okay. I mean, at least have the courtesy to call him by his first name. Okay. You don't call people by their last names like that, right? That in of itself is a level of disrespect. Okay. And again, many of you will think, oh, this is a minor thing. But no, this is something that needs to be nurtured, right, amongst the Muslims. We shouldn't, if you're going to call someone, okay, call them by their first name. Okay. No. Okay. Well, so this here, okay, we actually show respect by calling their last name here. Well, all professors and doctors' last names. Yeah, but that's on professions. Okay. That's a different thing altogether. Okay, because many that's the way it isn't done in the academic field and everything. But when you're talking colloquially with someone, right, especially someone right, you don't address them by their last name. That's not how it works. Okay. So you're conflating these things. Okay. So anyhow,
There's a clip going around of me apparently saying that I'm going to grape somebody. And your idea, Fontaine, your smart idea is that, hey, man, instead of clarifying that it's a mistranslation, just say, yeah, it happened in the past. Do you hear yourself, man? Like, what are we even talking about right now?
and again, this is why I've mentioned this about the disrespect, because look at the way he's disrespecting John. Okay. He's belittling him. Oh, your smart idea, this sarcasm, right? Like putting his, like, all of this is belittling. Okay. And at the end of the day, John is absolutely right. Just own up to the mistake, right? Your clarification doesn't help here. Okay. You clarifying that you meant it in this way or that way, okay, doesn't help, because at the end of the day, it's still profanity. So what you need to do is just take it back, right? Just say, listen, I said this, it was profane. I didn't intend it in this way, but I was 100% wrong. Okay. So John was 100% correct, right?
There's a difference between me saying to a random girl cursing at the Prophet, pretending to be Muslim when she's Christian. You guys don't know her, anyways. Long story. There's a difference of me getting upset and saying something inappropriate, like I'm gonna come beat you up, right? Then saying I'm gonna come grape you. The latter is a far worse remark. You expect me to just let people think I did that? Of course not. Now, regarding what Abdurrahman said, I think that was Abdurrahman speaking, because you and John sound the same. What Abdurrahman said,
Goodness.
he said,
I agree with him to a certain extent. Yes, of course. You wouldn't let people mention that. But the issue here is that Libyano didn't take it back. He didn't apologize for it. Okay. So he just clarified what he meant, right? That's not, and that's the problem. It's not just about the clarification, which is why I mentioned that you simply own up to the mistake while clarifying. Okay. It's not one or the other. Okay. So John was 100% correct in terms of saying that you gotta take it back. You gotta apologize for this.
oh, brother, we love you. We want to advise you, want the best for you. Look, Abdurrahman, I really want to believe that. Okay? I really want to believe that. But this live is to character assassinate me, brother.
And that is the rhetoric. That is the sophistry, right? To turn it, right, from genuine criticism and advice, okay, to that of the meager character assassination. Okay. Like, why do we want to character assassinate? Why is it? Look, Libyano, of all of the young du'at, okay, and of all the popular du'at, why is it him that we have chosen to character assassinate? On what basis? Yeah. And this is something that he is capable of doing because he knows the rest of you will fall in line. Okay? He knows the rest of you will fall in line and hang on to his words as if it is honey. Yeah. And this is another reason why this stream is about warning against Libyano, because this is what he does to you. All right? And unfortunately, you're too gullible. You're too gullible. And it's disgusting. Okay? It's disgusting to see how gullible the Muslims have become. Okay? So no, this is straight up gaslighting. Okay? And even Brother Don, okay, he says, I have to disagree. I really don't see why they did a specific live. It was directly against him. They should have made it general guidance. Now, for you, you guys are not familiar, yeah, but we have done many, no, not many, but we have done some public streams where we were speaking about these things in general. Okay, Knowledge North has done it. I have done it. I say many, but what do you call it? I think we're the only two that have done like proper general stuff. Actually, no, E of Dawah also did touch upon it on one of their streams. Okay, in terms of the general way of things being done. Right, this stuff has happened. Okay, we have spoken about things generally, right? But there comes a point where specifics does need to be spoken about. Okay. And you guys can go through my streams where I talk about the downfall of Dawah, for example, right? Which the Christians thought was a big plus for them, right? Subhanallah. Now, not realizing that it's something that damned them, okay? Oh, look at that. Look at that. You guys need to listen. You guys need to listen. Now, so yeah, this is not correct. There is no character assassination, okay? Although I have criticized introspective Muslims for some of his remarks, which are completely wrong against Libyano, okay? But the stream that was done yesterday was not to character assassinate, okay? It was to teach, right? Much in the same way that I'm doing this stream, right? Mine is actually more specific because I'm actually warning against Libyano. The brothers yesterday were not warning against him. They were using him, and Abdurrahman made this very clear, right? That they were using him as an example of how not to do things. I'm telling you not to listen to him anymore. I'm telling you to unsubscribe from him now. I'm telling you to abandon him completely so that he can rectify himself. Okay? So yeah, this is incorrect. Okay. Just I want to address this very quickly. Brother Yemeni, out of curiosity, is it allowed for you to do streams with Ash'ara or Maturidis? I've seen you on a stream with one doing da'wah to non-Muslims. I've made it a habit of myself to not knowingly do da'wah with Ash'ara or Maturidis. Okay. If someone's aqidah is sound, then I would do da'wah with them. Okay. And if they do fall into being an Ash'ari or Maturidi, then I wouldn't do da'wah with them, especially if there are major differences between me and them, right? If there is something like extremely minor, I may let it pass, okay? But I am very, very strict when it comes to that. Now, of course, I don't go to every single day and I say, what's your aqidah and everything. I don't do that, right? It's not advisable to go and do that. But if you do come across people who do start to mention other things like that, then I do tend to be more mindful. Okay. Yes, exactly. There are some who identifies those in terms of the cultural, the community they grew up. Okay, but don't actually hold to their beliefs. So again, it's nuanced, right? But yes. So look at it. So say it with your chest, Al Yemeni, you're attacking him. If you know anything about me, I don't hold back. Okay, I don't hold back. If anything, if you were paying attention, I made it very clear right now. Okay, that what the brothers were doing yesterday was to use Libyano as an example of how not to do things. I'm telling you not to follow him, not to listen to him, to unsubscribe from him. I'm warning against him specifically. Okay, so if anything, what I'm doing is more than what the brothers have done yesterday. Okay, يعني subhanallah. But at the same time, I want to highlight his virtues. Okay, because this is not about character assassination. This is about learning. Now, this Libyano is not someone who will learn due to his arrogance, due to the way that he doesn't take advice, due to his disrespect, due to his character at large. Okay, and his rhetoric, sophistry, and so on and so forth. So that's why I'm warning against him. When he ceases from that, alhamdulillah, come back and do da'wah. Okay, by all means, reach 1 million subscribers. I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less. Okay, if anything, I'll be happy for you, right? But right now, these 100,000 subscribers, or whatever, how many subscribers he has, okay, is more of a trial for him than it is a blessing and benefit. Anyhow, we'll continue.
No,
You guys have
You threatened to the pattern.
let me tell you how
a month ago. Yeah.
Yes, and of course, the brothers now start talking about how they tried to reach out to him privately and everything. Abdurrahman got ignored. Introspective Muslim proved that he got ignored on one of his videos, even though Libyano issued the challenge to him first. In my private DMs with Libyano, I got ignored. Okay, the only time I get a hold of Libyano is when, you know, when me and Libyano exchange, is when certain things come into there are certain things that come my way from others, which then essentially have to, you know, hold him accountable, right? And that's the only time we talk, right? So this idea of, oh, you know, you guys are trying to character assassinate me, or, you know, and all of that. No, sorry, people have tried to talk to you in private. And as Abdurrahman says,
charitable to someone. First of all, from Islam, we are under no obligation to be as charitable to someone who says misguidance in public. That's the first thing. I would, Umar ibn al-Khattab,
which is 100% correct. If something is being done in the public space, we are under no obligation to approach that person in private. Rather, it should be it should be corrected publicly. I have done that many times on Twitter, not just with Libyano, but with others. Okay, where they have said things that are incorrect, and I correct it. Okay, that is what we should do. We should correct each other. Okay. And again, look at this. Jealousy insane. They think this is all happening because of jealousy. I mean, again, just highlighting my point more and more, evidencing more and more why this person should be warned against. Because this is what he has you to believe. He has you to believe that we are simply jealous of him, that there is some amazing thing that he has which we are jealous of, which is why we're trying to character assassinate him. Yani, subhanallah. Yeah. And now, because we are criticizing Libyano, that by default means we are defending Avery's wife, what's her name, Christina, and defending Aya, and defending Hindus. Yani, subhanallah. Where have your brains gone? Where have your brains gone? Okay? Astaghfirullah. And you guys don't even know what the connotation of this is. You don't even know what the connotation is. Okay? When you're saying that we are defending these people, you're saying we are defending kufr, which is a nullifier of Islam. Do you not listen? Do you not Listen to yourselves. But this is a result of what happens when you're listening to Libyano. And this is what happens when Libyano doesn't correct you. Okay? Because you may not necessarily be reflecting what his opinions are. But if he's not correcting you, if he's not holding you to account for how you represent him, there's problems of both sides. Okay?
Bob, and I said this to you I said this to you in a
Also for this one, Yemeni, why are these brothers and you not keeping the same energy when warning against Jake for his issues? Jake, he takes advice. And don't think that he has not been spoken to in private. Okay? See, this is the thing. You guys basing it only on what you see on screen. You're not assuming. See, when we're doing this against Libyano, you automatically assume that we have not spoken to him in private. But when we don't do something against Jake or any other brothers, you automatically assume that we are okay with him. Right? Assumption is the biggest lie. This is a hadith. Assumption is the biggest lie. Yet you guys are doing this often. Ya ikhwa. Ya ikhwa. Fear Allah. Fear Allah for the accusations you make, for the assumptions you make. Okay?
in a live tweet said, let Allah have mercy upon the one who directs me to my flaws. And we are mirrors to each other. I said this to your teacher many years ago, which she's never given me credit for, not that we want credit.
Who's my teacher? Sorry, who's my teacher?
Brother Abdurrahman was doing so well until he referred to hijab as Libyano's teacher. I mean, come on, he's not his teacher, right? And again, this idea, going back to the criticism, now I know what Knowledge North is implying here, okay? But again, when you criticize Libyano of using this title as rabbi and the superficial understanding, think about it when you're talking down the road, right? So again, he was doing so well until he mentioned that. But yalla.
The brother you were sitting with in that, or the one we're going to cover next week.
So we're gonna skip this part because obviously Abdurrahman messed up a little bit there, and then there's a bit of back and forth about that mess up.
Under no obligation to privately advise, okay? I would personally, I was saying about that guy, that he himself had the decency to mention that, look, there's one of two things. Either when someone criticizes or admonishes in public, they were wrong, in which case I will benefit, I will take their deeds, or they will take my misdeeds on Yawm al-Qiyamah, or they've corrected me and they've saved me from further punishment and questioning on Yawm al-Qiyamah by lessening my burden, by making me stop in my tracks from going forward. You win both ways if you're admonished. We are not non-Muslims, you or I, Christians, that we need to take it personally when people correct us on matters of the deen. Had I mocked your physicality or your accent or your ethnicity, you have every right to take that personally. But the deen, brother, does not belong to you. The Orthodox Sunni Islam does not belong to you, nor me, nor our fathers. So we are all in this together. If anyone missteps, myself, yourself, and those who are greater and lesser than us, we have an obligation to correct that. And we should be grateful. I personally, from where I'm in the north, we don't care for the bells and whistles. We don't care for the niceties. I prefer myself, people to be direct and say, you're wrong, stop it, behave yourself. They could say, Akhi fillah, ittaqullah, barakallah fi. But I personally don't need that. I would rather be corrected dead in my tracks. As for you.
So everything he's saying there is 100%, okay? Like we mentioned, right? We are a nation that enjoin good and forbid evil, right? This is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has used in the Quran to praise this ummah, okay? So to take this enjoining good and forbidding evil and to turn it into something that is a character assassination, it is, subhanallah, think about the implications. Yeah, think about the implications. when you take something that honors the Muslims, that honors this ummah, and turn it so that it appeals as it looks like it's something which is negative, which is unrighteous. Yeah, just think about this. Okay. Now, I know we're approaching the 3-hour mark, and I'm trying to go through this as quickly as I can, although there is still quite a bit of this to go. There's still half an hour of this stuff to go, but again, we're not going to go through this.
Address issues of provocation with and dealing with blasphemers, and so we will address these topics. And I'll be bluntly honest with you. The fact is, we could teach these without clipping you, without playing you, but because it's trending, it helps the mass. You know how the game works. It helps the message get across further if you take that which is already in vogue amongst the people. So we are using you, just as you have a right to use me, and just as you will use Christians or whoever, as a plank to teach something religious.
And that was and this is why I mentioned that this is what they were doing, right? They were using Libyano as the tool, right, to highlight how things how things are wrong and how they should not be done and how things should be done, right? Whereas what I'm doing is a completely different thing. I'm warning against it. Okay. But using their stream from yesterday, because I have my own thoughts, especially like I mentioned in the introduction, I have my own thoughts of the things that have transpired yesterday, which have pushed me even further to doing this thing, which I have refrained from wanting to do for a very long time. Okay. So that's why this is also a reaction as well as a warning, but to evidence why I'm warning. Okay. Anyhow, we'll go to the next part.
I hope you don't take it the wrong way. But right now, bro, you're mixing truth with falsehood, bro. You're saying true statements, true principles, but your application is false and deceiving. Let me tell you why, okay? Because you said, yeah, this is not your religion. We have to correct the public errors. All of that is beautiful. It's right on point. But the issue is, my brother Abdurrahman, is you took the opportunity of finding a clip that Christians spread around to refute me and correct me publicly.
We've done that. We've dealt with the clip.
Just let me finish, man. Come on. Instead of acknowledging, hey, this was before he was doing dawah. This is before anything was happening.
You're wrong. I already said. I said this in the previous. You're wrong. No, but you're wrong. No. You're wrong. I said.
I always hold my tongue back. But you can't do it yourself. You call me young, but you can't hold your tongue, man.
Because you're wrong. What you said is a lie.
I think you're wrong, but I hope
this idea of him holding his tongue is completely not true, right? He's been trying, like, instead of actually remaining silent, he's always been trying to get his word in. But obviously, the brothers are, what do you call it? Were able to shut him down, right? From actually interrupting. Right. So this idea that he was, not interrupting at all, not trying to interrupt, is completely false. Okay. And again, he wasn't listening to what Abdurrahman was saying. Okay. Abdurrahman did mention that this happened prior. Okay. So it wasn't like he was trying to frame it as this was something recent. And again, the point of, oh, this happened years ago, doesn't help him. Right. It doesn't help. If you were doing this prior to you giving da'wah, it is an evidence that you shouldn't have started giving da'wah until you have rectified your character. Okay? And this is why now, for us who have made these mistakes, who have gone through it, who have reformed ourselves so that we do things the proper way, okay? When we now advise the next generation of how to give da'wah, we always emphasize character. Learn al-akhlaq al-islamiyah. Okay, learn it. Okay, learn your akhlaq and your etiquette with Allah. Learn your etiquette with your brothers and sisters. Learn your etiquette with mankind in general. Learn your etiquette of seeking knowledge. Yeah, you have to go through all of this before you even look at a shred of knowledge. Right? Your character is the most important thing. So bringing this up as a, you know, from years ago, it doesn't help you. Rather, it damns you. Because clearly your character was not in where it needed to be for you to start giving da'wah. Okay? So it's a poor defense. It's a poor defense. And this is the trend now that we're seeing with him. Defense after defense is always poor. Okay? Well, not always, but mostly poor, right? There were some instances where he defended himself well, right?
Hold my tongue
No,
back.
but I've got proof. I've got proof. If you go back to a previous discussion, if you go back to 2 weeks ago, we did said, and the witnesses are there. There's in the.
Brother, I heard that, but brother, you have to let me.
I said this weeks ago, brother.
I finished. I know, but
Okay.
So, and again, the admission here, right? Yeah, I heard that you said that, right? So how are you going to accuse Abdurrahman of doing something when Abdurrahman clarifies to you that no, he actually made it very clear that, you know, this was a while back, and you say, yeah, I heard that. So what are you attacking him for? Why are you saying that he's misrepresenting you? And this is sometimes, you know, when you look at these things in hindsight, it gives you the time to be able to sit down and actually reflect upon it. Whereas, you know, if I was available last night and I did jump onto the platform last night, I may have not caught it in the way that I have when I was watching it back today. So subhanallah, you know, maybe there was a benefit that I was preoccupied last night to not be able to join. So yeah.
I didn't finish my point, bro.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm saying, look, you may have said it another place, another time, but you didn't say it here. And there's new viewers, there's people watching, there's people tuning in. You got my face on the thumbnail, you got the title. What you could have said is, hey, there's this video, you know, it's mistranslated, or Libyano says it's mistranslated, we should hear him out. And, you know, this was before he was doing dawah or anything like that. And, you know, we know that there's mistakes in the past and stuff like that, but this is not something recent. Because when you bring a clip and you just put it on TikTok and it's missing context, it's missing background, somebody new could come and say, oh, Libyano, how could Libyano do this? I thought Libyano was the guy and I thought he was a good guy. How could he say such a thing to a girl, right? And they'll get the wrong idea. This is what character assassination is.
Okay,
so I understand. I'm saying, brother, come on, let me finish. Right?
No, I'm asking. Go ahead.
So subhanallah, again, you know, what he was saying was right. Yeah, you got to put context and everything. You got new viewers and everything, but that doesn't happen, right? That doesn't happen. That's not the way the world works. Okay. If it was a case of every time you mention something, you have to give the context, right? No one does this, okay? Because people mention it once, maybe twice, and that's it, okay? But then saying that if you don't mention it every single time or give the people, you know, that context every single time, it's by default character assassination is complete garbage, okay? And again, that's the sophistry being used to push this idea to his followers that the intention of the last night's stream was to character assassinate. And Libyano needs to remember, right now he's dealing with Muslims. He's not dealing with Christians who are absent-minded. We know these things. We know these underhanded comments better than he does. Right? Just because we don't use them, it doesn't mean we have no knowledge of them. Right? So this idea, okay, that you know, he didn't mention it here because there are new viewers. Well, first and foremost, he gave you the opportunity to come up and defend yourself, right? Which means it's happening on the same subhanallah stream, right? So it's not like he's just done this and didn't give you any opportunity. Because if your intention is to character assassinate someone, would you bring them on for them to defend themselves? No, right? Absolutely not. Okay. Now you could say this about me today because I made it clear at the beginning of the stream. I'm not. If Libyano wants to join, I'm not interested in him joining. He had his opportunity to defend himself yesterday. Today, I'm talking about how his responses were poor, and why it is an evidence that he should be warned against. Okay, and I've already made it clear, okay, that there is a level of disrespect that I will not accept from him. So I'm not interested in speaking to him. Okay. So does that now mean I'm trying to character assassinate him? Yeah, because I'm not going to let him defend himself. Well, no, because I'm already defending him where it's correct to defend him. You know. So, subhanallah. This is the gaslighting, all right, that is occurring.
Yes, you have what you're saying is correct, okay, as when it comes to principle, right? But I'm saying, bro, you're not doing it. You're not putting this clip up to show, hey guys, the Christians are wrong. This is old. Yeah, Libyano was wrong, but he's not like that anymore. He doesn't say things like that to women anymore.
But
right?
he says it to men.
Oh,
Though.
you said
he says it to men.
You brought it up. Let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
You brought it up to tell people that, hey, this guy's a dangerous guy, he's an evil guy. Don't listen to him. This is what he says to women. Come on, brother.
Okay, are you done, brother? I just want to check.
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay.
So this idea of like, oh, this is how he used to be, he doesn't do this anymore. Well, sorry. I mean, you have been doing this with Avery's wife. You have been using this sort of language with her and everything, right? For something that she has probably repented from in terms of that specific thing, okay? You have been using profane language with other people, right? So it's not like, oh, you know, these are things from a time gone. No, these are things that are present, okay? Maybe not with women per se, but with other people. So when someone like this says, oh, he says it's a man, I'm introspective Muslim, can't control himself, he's highlighting here, okay, that but you still do it. Yes, you may not do it, you may not do it to a woman, but you're doing it to men. You're using such profane language with men. So this idea that, oh, Libyano is no longer using such evil language, all right, or profane language, and he's changed. No, sorry, there was no change there. You're still using profane language, right? And it has been evidenced in this in last night's stream with how easy those words come out of your mouth. Look at this. Look at this. Again, defending a woman who insults the Prophet ﷺ, right? And you guys, are you not? Have you read the Seerah? Do you know anything about Rasul ﷺ? Okay. When Rasul ﷺ would speak about the disbelievers, okay, if they were doing something justly, then he would speak, he would praise them for it, okay? He would praise them for it. The most famous example is with Hilf al-Fudul, okay? Like, this is something that was established by the Quraysh, okay? But he said that even, you know, that if he was called to Hilf al-Fudul, you know, during that time, okay, like while they are Muslims and the Quraysh are disbelievers, he would join it because it's a virtuous thing. So for me to say that if a woman has repented from certain profanities, and to say that you should not bring that up because she has repented from it, that is something correct. Likewise, if Libyano did actually stop using profane language, then it would be wrong of us to bring that up of him, okay? Yani, subhanallah. But the problem here is that there is a difference here. With Avery's wife, I've already made it clear she is an enemy of Islam. But with this particular thing, she may have repented from it. So therefore, there is no use in bringing it. Whereas Libyano has not repented from his profane language. He still utilizes it. And as Brother Saifullah mentions here, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said that if Fir'aun were to say Barakallah feek, he would say Wafiq. Okay? This is the issue with people who have no knowledge. Yeah, this is the issue with people who have no knowledge and want to speak of their own opinions, and their own desires. You people desire that for Libyano to be something that he's not. So, subhanallah. And may Allah rectify his affairs and make him better than what you think of him. Okay? We have to make dua for him. He's our Muslim brother at the end of the day. But as at present, we are judging him by what is apparent. And we are warning him by what is apparent. Thank you for repeating what I said. Again, subhanallah. This is what happens. You've lost your ability to hear. You've lost your ability to hear. And this is the definition of blind following. You people have followed Libyano blindly. And this is why he's able to play with you like this. He says character assassination. Harder Libyano. Yes, character assassination. Character assassination. And what kind of question is? What kind of question is this? Repented to who, akhi? To Jesus? No, when I say repented, as in she has turned away from this, like she has stopped doing it. Akhi, I know, but this again is to highlight the sort of damage that happens when individuals like Libyano have a large platform and are irresponsible with that platform. So yes. Anyway, the last thing, because a lot of this is the argument. The last point that is actually made here is with regards to Abu Bakr. Okay, and this is the last thing that I'm going to end on, right? With regards to the thing, because again, Libyano mentions that he plays this sophistry that you're going to throw Abu Bakr under the bus, and lo and behold, this is what happens. Yeah, Abu Bakr insulted Urwa bin Mas'ud. Are you going to attack Abu Bakr as well now? I mean, this is Subhanallah. Subhanallah. I mean, is this the level that we're going to go to, right? And this is the height of the sophistry. Okay, and now clearly, right? Again, Libyano has no knowledge, right? He makes sweeping statements, okay, of many things, okay, without looking into any of the specifics, none of the specifics, okay, which is why he makes so many blunders, okay, and this is one of them, the issue of Abu Bakr. Now, Abdurrahman has already explained it, that there are certain situations that you can do this, okay, as explained by the fuqaha, okay. Now, the thing that Abu Bakr, what did he do? Did he insult their God? No. First and foremost, no, he didn't insult their God, right? He insulted Urwa, okay? Because the insult was directed at Urwa, okay? And but he brought in the idol as part of that insult, okay? So he wasn't insulting the idol itself, okay? Because rather he insulted Urwa in the way of the people at the time, okay, and he told him to suck the thing of the idol, okay. Now, yani, no context is given to that, right? At the end of the day, it was Urwa that was being insulted. It wasn't the thingy. And as the what do you call it? And again, when we look at the ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah, okay, this is to make it's very clear. It's been very clear to the Mufassirin, okay, that have commented on this, that you weigh the benefits and the harms of this. If you think that retaliating, okay, in such a way is going to be it's not even if you think, it's clear, okay, that if you retaliate in such a way, that they're going to insult Allah, okay, that they're going to insult Allah, okay. And again, this is one example, okay, this is the only example that the people have, okay, from Abu Bakr, right, which shows that this is not something that Abu Bakr did often. Whereas these people, the people that use Abu Bakr as an example here, they are the ones that are throwing Abu Bakr under the bus, okay? Because these are the people that are doing it often. And then they try to use Abu Bakr as the evidence of that. Yeah? Yani, subhanAllah, right? You take Abu Bakr's statement out of context, okay? You don't look into the specifics, right, regarding what the fuqaha have said regarding this issue, when you can do this, when you cannot do this, when it's advisable, when it's not advisable, and even in some cases it would be prohibited, right? In some cases it would be prohibited. You don't look into any of that, and you take this solitary hadith, okay? Now, yes, Libyano did speak about Ibn Hajar, but Ibn Hajar was speaking generally in that sense, but there is also specifics with regards to this hadith. And yeah, so to take it that way and then flip it on the Muslims as if the Muslims are trying to throw this idea of throwing under the bus, this is a tactic he uses with Christians. So treating Muslims like their Christian opponents is, again, it just shows the character, okay? Trying to use your rhetoric, your sophistry and everything against brothers, okay? It's just not going to work. We're Muslims. Yeah, we're not Christians, okay? How dare you think that you can use such lowly tactics against us, okay? The reason why it works with others is because they are lowly, right? Unfortunately for you, you're not dealing with lowly people. You're dealing with Muslims who exceed you in experience, who exceed you in knowledge, who exceed you in character, who have learned from their mistakes. Okay, so it's not going to work. And like I mentioned to everyone, and essentially, Libyano sort of embodies the group known as the subhanallah, starts with a ra. Subhanallah, I forgot what it is. I mean, I think someone did mention it here in the, yeah. So that, but I forgot how to pronounce it in Arabic, subhanallah, because I don't use the word often. But this, which essentially means, all right, people who have no knowledge, right, and give their opinions, right, just laymen that are just constantly thinking. And this is a movement now, right, where you have many people who have no knowledge of Islam, okay, but they hold themselves to such a high regard with their ego, with their arrogance, and they think that their opinions is the be all end all, right? And they give lip service to those who actually do possess some knowledge. So yes, there you go. All right. No, not Rafid, astaghfirullah. No, that I'd be making takfir of him. Like, Habibi, like, what are you doing? Okay. And anyway, like I said, I've mentioned a couple of times that I would provide the evidence, okay, to why I know that this is a person that should be warned against, and why I know for a fact that he did not take the advice. And this is, and I'm going to read this from what has been mentioned by Libyano himself after the stream last night. Okay, this is exactly what he says. Let me just bring it up. So he says, just spoke to them, lol. I think it's very clear now who's jealous and who's clout chasing. That's it. That's all he said. And this was said after he finished speaking with the brothers. That is the evidence that he did not take any of the advice. I mean, for those of you who got fooled, inshallah, now you realize that he fooled you, right? Because instead of saying all the things that he said in the stream last night and the things that you guys are defending him with, his conclusion from that was, I just spoke to them, lol. He took it as a light thing, okay? And which means he didn't care for any of it, okay? And then he just carried on with the accusation. It's very clear who they are jealous and who's clout chasing. Yeah. And as it is mentioned by Abdul Rahman with regards to Introspective Muslim. Now, I didn't know this about Introspective Muslim, that Introspective Muslim has a channel with over 500,000 subscribers, right? So if it was about clout chasing, okay, then he would have used that, right? If it was about clout chasing for me, right, I would have tagged Libyano's channel, because when you tag the channel, right, it draws more views, right, increases your subscribers. I don't do that, right? Didn't do that, right? I didn't even write Orthodox Muslim, put Libyano, okay, because he's more associated with Orthodox Muslim, right? I don't tell people to follow me, right? I've maybe said it 5 times to in the last 6 years, okay? In the last 6 years, I probably said 5 times to people to subscribe to my channel, okay? Sometimes it was done because brothers told me to say it, because they believe that people will benefit, okay? And sometimes, and some of those times, I said it because I've recently released a new playlist, which I believe that will be extremely beneficial to the people, right? If you look at what we do, just generally speaking, we're not clout chasing. If I wanted to chase clout, I would be engaging with the Islamophobes. If I was jealous of him, right, I wouldn't be fair. Okay? I wouldn't defend him while warning against him. Okay? So it's very clear to the delusion of Libyano that he thinks that this is all done for jealousy of him, as if there is something, extremely praiseworthy. Yani. And when someone is deluded like that, he is to be warned against. When there is someone who yani, I don't even know what to say at this point. I think the point has been made. And for those who want to remain in their delusion and just repeat the things that slip off his tongue, by all means. Okay. Will you open a question and answer session? First of all, wa alaikum wassalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay. No, I'm not going to do that. This is not up for a discussion. Okay. I'm not here to discuss this with anyone, right? This is a stream in which I have gone through some of Libyano's defense that he offered up yesterday, to highlight the flaws in his defense and to defend him where he required defense. The one who blundered the most on the stream was Introspective Muslim, in my analysis of that stream. And I think I've demonstrated, I believe I've demonstrated throughout as how there is no knowledge, right? Sweeping statements, gaslighting, sophistry, accusations, and so on and so forth, right? And at the end of the day, we ask Allah to rectify all of our affairs, to elevate us to ranks in which no one can touch us, into a status in which even our enemies will be forced to respect us despite their hatred towards us. Okay, but this will happen, Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen, but this will happen only if we hold fast to Islam, to give da'wah from the Quran and the Sunnah, to prioritize that. No one is saying don't use the Bible. No one has ever said don't use the Bible, or use other things, or just prioritize the Quran and the Sunnah. If most of your discussion is utilizing other things, you're not giving da'wah. Okay? So the Quran and the Sunnah is what elevates us. So let us hold on to that. Let us hold fast onto that and be unwavering, unapologetic about it. To be strong against the disbelievers. To belittle them, right? I mean, I'm talking about the enemies of Islam, right? To belittle the enemies of Islam in a way that elevates you. Okay? So, and there are many ways to do that, Yahweh. Many ways to do that. Many ways to elevate yourself while degrading the other. Okay? Especially when he is your enemy. So, ya ikhwa, look, I say this all the time. Okay? At the end of the day, right? And Libyano is not the only one, right? There are other brothers, okay? Which I have mentioned, for example, okay? Not just in this stream, but in previous streams, which I do take issue with, okay? But this needed to be done, okay? And it is with a heavy heart that I'm doing this, because at the end of the day, he's our brother, okay? But if the private stuff, whether it's by advice or admonishment, doesn't work, and if a public stream like the one from yesterday, where he's being used as a tool to display a particular lesson, is not helpful, then khalas. There's nothing left but to warn. Okay. And inshallah, there will be a day where I can delete the stream, right? Inshallah, there will be a day where I can delete the stream and I can say about Libyano, yes, listen to Libyano. Okay. But as of today, the opposite is true. Do not listen to him. Do not take knowledge from him. Do not be influenced by him. Because unfortunately, what happens is that you fall into such grave errors where you don't even think about the consequences of what you are saying, of what he will do now, or what he will do in the future. Okay. So that's all that can be said. And my last message is to Libyano personally. Okay. Yeah, akhi, I hope that if you are watching this, or you will watch this, okay, I hope that you see that despite my harshness towards you and the things that I have said to you in private, okay, we're in such a harsh manner, very, very harsh manner, okay, ultimately is for you, okay, and for me, because I'm going to be asked on the day of judgment. Did you advise him when you saw him go astray? Right? We're going to be asked about everything. Allah will ask me, did you advise him? Did you correct him? So this is for me as well. Okay. It's for both of us, and it's for the brothers and sisters who we are responsible for. Okay. We are responsible for our flock. Ya akhi. Don't think just about what you're doing and the polemics that you're doing and everything. Think about the influence that you have on others. And unfortunately, the influence that you've had on others is, just look at it. I hope that this may be the thing that gets you to start to reflect. Okay. Because I'm sure that and I know I could have done this in a completely different way. But I thought about it, and I believe that this is the best way that I know how to do it. Okay. But khalas, this is the nasiha. This is my warning. This is the lesson. And with that being said, ya ikhwa, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم